No, I'm talking to my chat room. We're all good.
Oh, I thought you were trying to relay.
Always trying to relate. Always. Yeah.
All right, 60 seconds.
Thanks. Hey everybody, good morning. And by the way, I'm just about to start at the radio, but I wanted to say hi to the chat room. And thank you, Natalie. And thanks, we have a new member on YouTube, and I wanted to say hi and thanks for the stuff that you
Ladies and gentlemen,
Here it comes.
can I please have your attention? I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Now, live from Chicago, the Hal Sparks radio program Mega Worldwide.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
Hal Sparks, actor, comedian, and multimedia personality.
I'm all out of bubblegum.
Hal Sparks.
Let's do this.
Well, welcome everybody to what is effectively I guess the mid-year holiday of January 6th. That's going to be an ongoing thing now. There's in response to June 19th becoming a thing, the Trump fans of the world have launched a Sept 18 in response to what people like Matt Gaetz and Marjorie Taylor Greene and even Donald Trump himself are referring to as political detainees from that attacked police and other first responders on January 6th, and of course broke into the Capitol and tried to upend democracy and reinstall their presidential candidate who failed. And those folks, the ones, the thousands that stormed the Capitol that day, stood out on the steps, defiling the place, even indeed trampling one of their own who had apparently succumbed to some sort of what do we know? Do we know a full report on it? Last I heard was an overdose that occurred, and the trampling contributed to her death. Thank you, Hal Vickery, for the super chat. We are live streaming at infotainmentwars.com, and of course at our at twitch.tv/Hal Sparks, where using Amazon Prime you can subscribe and it won't cost you a dime. I'm just saying. Anyways. Right now they are all gathering, and when I say all, I mean mostly reporters. They are all gathering on the grounds of the area they're allowed to be on the grounds near the Capitol. And we have now got, let's see, I would argue at this point, it'd be lovely if we had a huge reach on the show where we could check in with a correspondent on the ground. But it seems from all the footage I've been looking at that there are more reporters and photographers than there are protesters. And I would argue at this point that perhaps we have a camera problem more than an insurrection problem. It's obviously the police are taking every precaution this time, and when the police take every precaution, criminals who would normally, feel like they have free reign, tend to dial it back a touch, tend to tap the brakes, and that seems to be what's happening. Even former guy Trump released a pro Jan 6 detainee against the Biden regime statement as if they are all collectively one Alexei Navalny. All those folks, he wrote a document of support for those folks. And even still, none of his kin are showing up. There don't seem to be any of the speeches. I don't know that Rudy Giuliani is wandering around anywhere. Although, if you are at January 6th, the Justice for J6 rally, and you have a 15-year-old daughter, I would keep her close if Rudy is nearby. They've obviously set up. The gates are back. The big fencing is back at the Capitol, an ugly sight and a sad sight in a democracy, but necessary sometimes because, democracies can be messy sometimes. Some of the people in the democracy might, in the exercising of their individual rights to express themselves, might go beyond the legal level, the legal limit of that expression, and set fire to things and break things, which was a thing apparently that the Republicans were complaining about all last year. All last year we heard about how that every protest was a riot and every riot was the fault of the protest, even though we know full well that especially in Oakland and the San Francisco area and others, St. Louis, I believe, there are direct cases linking Boogaloo Boys to instigating violence in the hope that if they were violent towards police officers, if they threw projectiles or they fired projectiles at them, that the police would respond with violence, therefore causing the crowd to respond with more violence and then spark a civil war that they've been girding for a long time. I think ever since they were conceived by the Manson family on the Spawn Ranch, because if you'll recall, that was pretty much Charles Manson's plan. The Helter-Skelter plan, which he believed which was in fact a white supremacist plan. Just let's not forget that, in the annals of genuine white supremacists, all pejorative slings aside and concerns about the behavior of others aside, there was no question that the Manson family was a white supremacist organization. They were a little, they were obviously a little nutty, but the plan was, if you'll recall, Helter-Skelter, the plan was that eventually there would be a civil war, that blacks and whites would fight. Blacks would be physically superior and therefore win. This is according to Charles Manson. But they wouldn't be smart enough to run things, so they would need some white people to run things for them after they physically overtook all the other white people in the country and killed them. And they just needed a little something to set it off. So we just need to go start the whole thing. We need to start, goose it a little. You need to goose it, because that's the problem with a civil war that isn't starting organically. You just got to poke it, right? Unfortunately, I guess, fortunately for us and unfortunately for them, it did not work, however gruesome and awful it was. And the idiocy of this very distinctly, inarguably white supremacist plan by Charles Manson and his followers, it was one of the dumbest things ever. True, chat room. But let's be true. Let's be honest about this. It was idiocy, but this was what was the root of it. And how do we know that Charles Manson's plan was a white supremacist plan and based on his idea of white supremacy, besides the actual plan that I laid out to you? Well, of course he got the idea from the White Album. I'm just saying, in this country, which is a vibrant democracy, we have a long and storied history of of crazed lunatics wanting to overthrow the government. From Charles Manson to Timothy McVeigh to the dudes with nunchucks in Florida, to groups of Black Hebrew Israelites and who are looking forward to teaming up with militia guys from Michigan after they finish this last bag of jerky. They'll be right there. We have these folks among, and again, in a free country, your laws have to be very specific. In a dictatorship or in some sort of authoritarian thing, you can have things like thou shalt not kill, and then the leader can kill you, but he's exempt from the rules entirely, and there's just one rule, and that's it. In a free country, we have all kinds of killing. We've got, depraved indifference. We've got manslaughter. We've got first, second, third degree murder. There's a lot of lines in there because you have all this room to move in a free society. Maybe, okay, I was being a little too free, but I wasn't being that free. Yes, Lyndon LaRouche is being brought up in the chat room. Absolutely. Or the Moonies, which of course Trump famously did a paid gig for this week. So right now there's obviously a lot of these sort of wannabes gathering in the DC area. And this, by the way, the fact that there's a low turnout, the fact that it's so far, and hopefully it will stay that way, not violent, and it's just a lot of InfoWars wannabes milling about, complaining about tyranny. The reason that is happening the way it's happening is because the police are handling this as a genuine threat, the way they probably should have on January 6th, recognizing that these folks are not just politically motivated Trump supporters who are just really upset. That's not who these folks are. The politically motivated Trump supporters who are just really upset are at home. They are yelling at their television set and Fox News the same way they did during the Obama administration when their side wasn't in charge, and they grumbled to their friends, and those are the politically motivated people who are upset. These folks are against democracy. They are anti-democratic forces within the United States trying to create a groundswell of like-minded folks. The problem that they're having, and I think this is indicative of both on January 6th, them not taking it seriously enough as far as the military, or maybe even being directly given a stand-down order by the Trump administration in terms of the National Guard and the like, or the local police not taking it seriously, is because it's largely fomented or believed to exist on social media. This is an affect of social media, and in many ways it is the glue that holds it together, but it is not the fundamental reasoning behind it. The difference this time is the recognition that glue can make a lot of very dangerous people stick together in a way that they never would have before. Johnny Million's going to be joining us in the second hour, but I'm with you right now. It's the Hal Sparks Radio program, Megaworldwide on WCPT Radio. We're going to take a break right now. 773-763-9278 is our number. If you happen to be at the Justice for Jan 6 gathering, I suppose, which seems to be less a march than a milling about. We'll be back right after this. So funny. Just a whole lot of nothing. And that's good. I'm glad. Let's be abundantly clear that we're all, hi chat room, we're all happy that this thing is a dud for the sake of the police officers. It's like, part of us think it would be funny to see a bunch of these idiots rounded up and taken to jail like they deserve to go, because many of them participated in January 6th and just haven't been caught yet, or managed, to slink away. all that stuff. Wow, 490 in the chat. Welcome, everybody. Don't forget to share and like the show and spread it around and all that kind of stuff. Happy Saturday morning to you. Happy Septainth. That's what it is. The 18th and September. Septainth. That's the name of the holiday now. I'm sorry. I just created a name for it. It's Septainth. Please, hashtag Septainth. The Justice for Jan 6 rally will forever be known as Septainth. Hashtag Septainth. Hashtag teabag party. Okay, that'll do it. Septainth is very important. Sorry. We'll get into the letter to Brian Kemp. Yeah, okay.
20 seconds.
Thank you. Coming back in a second, guys. Happy Septainth. Yeah.
Attention, attention. Stop what you're doing. Because we're coming back to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
They went a little crazy with it, and I appreciate it.
Now let's get back with Hal Sparks' radio program, Mega Worldwide.
So it should come as no surprise that the root of the January 6th uprising, if they want to call it that, and of course the Septainth, which is what we're going to call this holiday from now on, gathering to fight for the rights of the political detainees, all of whom have had bail hearings and have either made bail or not made bail based on their behavior and the danger they pose to the public, all of whom have legal representation. All of them have lawyers, either that they are paying for themselves or that the state is providing for them. So this whole their detainees nonsense has got to go. That their legal rights and their due process are being violated. They're getting due process. But part of your due process involves a bail hearing where the judge gets to look at the kind of person you are, the crimes you've committed in the past or not committed in the past, the crime you were accused of, the severity of it, and whether or not you seem to be, whether you're pleading innocent to it or saying, I had every reason to attack that police officer. If that's your reasoning, you're going to stay in jail until trial. And that's what's happening with a lot of these folks. The people that they are actually there, that this quote unquote rally, which is, again, it's less of a march, more of a milling about, are there to protest the imprisonment of, are people who had every ability to go home. They all of them had a bail hearing. All of them could have gone, Your Honor, I got carried away, swept up in the moment. I want to be with my family. I'll wear an ankle monitor. This is the first time I've ever done anything like this. I've learned my lesson, and I will accept the court's judgment when it comes. I'm pleading not guilty on reason of MAGA-triggered insanity, and I'd like to go home, please. I want to be home by Wednesday. And in most cases, when that happened, the judges said, yeah, a lot of these people have gone home. A lot of them. Yes. They're saying things in the chat room that I can't actually repeat on the radio. We're at infotainmentwars.com. Don't forget to subscribe. We're getting so close to 25,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel. This time last year, we couldn't hit 5. This is nice. I'm very proud, especially since my birthday is next Saturday, and it's the 25th. So 25,000 subscribers would be a nice gift. I'm just saying. Just throwing that out there. Now, the idea that these folks are political detainees, when in fact, thousands of them that attacked the Capitol on that day have not been charged with anything other than trespassing, if they've been charged at all, and have been allowed to go home and scream at their ceilings and their television sets, means that there's no roundup happening. The people that are there are absolutely the crap de la crap of the January 6th insurrectionists, the people who engaged in violence, beating police officers with thin blue line flags, wiping excrement in the people's house, which they apparently believe is the people's outhouse in this regard. And so watching these people come out, and maybe that's why the turnout is so low. Maybe, and maybe this is me being, naive and hopeful. But the very fact that a lot of that the turnout is poor might be the recognition that, like, well, who are you marching for? The folks they were expecting are the people who would go to a Trump rally, who might, clap when they hear about the, January 6th people who are in jail and the stories that they hear about them, but they're not going to go and try to bust them out. It's not going to happen. And so you have a bunch of these folks trying to gin up this cause. Mike Collins, who's running, he's a congressional candidate, who's speaking today, says he's actually calling for, he announces, this is for Jackson, he's campaign kickoff for Jackson, Georgia, he's running down there. He has promised to stand up to liberal left-wing wackos, rhinos, elites, and even the Republican establishment, including Kevin McCarthy. There is no level of fealty that you cannot share with these folks to Donald Trump that will go unpunished. And if by some odd chance he becomes speaker and doesn't want to give me a committee assignment, then I'm fine with that. I'll make a great teammate for Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. That's what, the time for civility, the time for compromise, that's over with, he says. The time for bipartisanship is done. There is no compromising. I don't know. That's a direct quote from the Jackson, Georgia congressional candidate. What he's saying is the time for democracy is over. Because those are the essence. Bipartisanship and compromise is the essence of democracy. It is how you decide on things without violence. And what they've decided is that since they can't convince enough people that their ideas actually work, because every time they've tried them, they've failed, and because they actually believe that they should have the right to control all the levers of government without actually knowing how they work, Taliban style, they've just decided that the only way they can win is through attrition, which is anti-democratic. I don't know. There's no other way to put it. He told the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, these people deserve their day in court. Everybody deserves their day in court, and I'm going up there to say these people need their day in court, and it's time for it to happen. They are all going to get their day in court. Everybody that is detained because of their participation in January 6th has had a bail hearing where the judge has decided that they are a danger to their fellow citizens, their family members, and others. A lot of these assholes have, I swore. I forgot I was on the weekday show. Pardon me. A-holes, beg your pardon. Thanks, sorry, Chicago. A lot of these folks have, domestic violence charges, other issues in their past that made the judge decide, well, in your case, we've sent some other folks home because this is the first time that they've attacked. This is the first time that they've, gone over the line. And even though what they led to, what their actions led to was so egregious, what they took part in was so violent, even though, because they have no previous criminal charges, we're going to let them go home and wait out the period leading up to their trial at home. Now, I would like to remind you, and I'm sure we have folks in the chat room and those of you at home that are that that during the pandemic found yourself binge watching a lot of true crime or watching Manhunter or Mindhunter or other shows like that. Manhunter is the original first Hannibal Lecter movie. And watching those, you will know that the BTK killer had no criminal record before he was caught. After, strings of murders and assaults and all kinds of horribleness, no criminal record. As held true for the Golden State Killer. Absolutely. Your Honor, my client has never even had so much as a parking ticket. Yeah, but the crimes he's accused of are pretty awful, and the state has a lot of evidence that they have presented a preliminary review of to me. And in that evidence, there's videos that pictures he took of himself with the bodies. I don't think he can walk around while we're waiting for trial. I know it might be a couple of years till we get to trial, but that's it. I'm concerned about the public at large. Meanwhile, by the way, everyone on the right wing right now will tell you that the crime spike that is experienced is because DAs are letting too many violent criminals out on the street. That people with rap sheets as long as a CVS receipt, quote unquote, are being let out of jail when they're caught by liberal DAs, and then they're going on to kill more people, which is a worthwhile conversation to have. But if you're going to have that conversation, then you certainly can't look at the January 6 folks who are being kept behind bars awaiting their trial because they are a danger to themselves, their families, and the public at large, and go, yeah, but those people are different. Well, why are they different? Well, because they're Trump supporters. They have praised fealty to our Lord and Salivator Donald John Trump. That's why they should just be let out. I agree with them. That's why. We got to take a break. We'll be back right after this. It's the House Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide. Now with fewer swear words, I promise. After the break, we'll be back right after this. I'm trying to find an update video channel where I can check in on how it's going that isn't on BitChute or something like that, where the language might even be worse than I ventured into. Although I'm fairly certain because of the hellhole. Yes, too many people would tune in for that one, Ed. People are suggesting morning show names. Still. Septainth. I'm just telling you. It seems to be catching on. That's good. I'm glad. I'm checking in on the... How's everybody doing? By the way, happy holiday as well. That's next Saturday. The House Sparks 5 eggs breakfast. Right. Sticky buns with House Sparks. You guys, cool it. There's 191 soon to be former inmates released from Rikers shortly. Right. Oh, David Pacman has it live. Is he getting it from? Where's he getting it from? Is he pulling it from one of theirs? Let's see. Because I have a feeling, yeah, it's going to have to be on, maybe Lindell. Oh, God. What if Lindell TV is running it? I doubt it. No. Oops. Good Lord. There's a show called The Tamara Scott Show on Lindell TV right now. And Netcheyev's Revolutionary Catechism. The Society of Revolutionaries has no aim other than the complete liberation of happiness of the masses, convinced that this happiness can only come about as a result of all destroying. Oh, crap. I can't roll back on it because it's live. What they do is make everyone miserable until they can take the freedoms away. Reuters is showing it? Okay, thanks. Let's see if it...
Back in 20.
Okay, thank you. I'm looking, kids. Don't worry. Let's see. Let's see.
I know I'm only on 1 day a week. I get it. I'm gonna have to jump on GarageBand and start sawing something together. This is the Hal Sparks Show. Wow, and a guitar note, and then progressive and all. Yeah, it's gonna be good.
Hey, Hal, did you mean something like this?
This is the Hal Sparks Show. Wow, and a guitar note, and then progressive and all. Yeah, it's gonna be good.
The Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
I have to say I've been trying to hunt down the audio of these folks. Yeah, so there's now the rally has gotten to the speeches part. Let's check in live with some of the speeches that we might hear from the Jan 6 rally. I'm not sure who this gentleman is. We'll see.
The prisoners and our fellow American citizens. My son was with me 100% of the time on J6. When the FBI came
so you should be in jail too.
to my doorstep and interrogated me for an hour and a half.
Oh, they're just cutting around?
Room in the White House. They're gonna sell my house for back taxes. I'm gonna need a place to live. I hear Lincoln's room is available.
However, my son...
What's your name?
Geraldine Lavelle.
Can you spell it for
Oh, good Lord. Yeah, there are literally, as I'm looking at this, there's a guy talking on screen who's one of the January, this is basically the January 6 adjacent folks, people who were either under guilty conscience, they should be in jail as well. But there's a, there are dozens, as they're interviewing people, there are more people doing interviews than are being interviewed at this thing. I think America might have a photojournalism addiction. Ma'am, can you spell your name for me? Look, don't be rude. Here's the crowd. I found a shot of the crowd. Okay, so again, in it, there are more cameras at this thing than there are folks that are there to speak. Like, it's hard to get. I feel bad for the people wanting a front row seat watching this thing happen.
Americans and the police officers that perished on J6, please bow your heads and give them a couple minutes of silence and ask for God to bless them.
Yeah. Why did they die? Why were they injured? Yeah. As they spin across the crowd, there are dozens. I mean, it's not a huge gathering. It's thankfully rather pitiful, but it is peppered across the way with every wannabe Vice documentarian that could possibly make their way to DC. Overall, this is, I mean, that's what this is ended up being. And by the way, can I welcome the one of the reasons I want to bring this up today is because I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that the turnout was low and that this isn't actually ginning up much of a response. In the same way that most of the people who go to Trump's rallies go to all the rallies. There's huge groups of them that brag about, and thank you, by the way, Benny Loco and John Schultz and Luis for the super chats today. Bless you guys for that. And Hal Vickery. And of course, I think that was, Seattle Susie Q. Thank you so much. And James Etling, thank you for the FCC fine. Oh, yeah. Well, I think we managed to get around it. here's the good news, I think, of all of this stuff. Trump firing off his ridiculous little statements, them being, carried by the normal channels on right-wing media, everybody kind of ignoring them getting kind of a slight boost on places like Rumble and Telegram and Gab and Parler and Gitter and Gummer and Scooter and Creeper. I don't know what all the right-wing social media sites are these days. There's Dopey, Sleazy, Creepy, Doc, and Sonori. The reality is, and I think one of the things, is we're all, we're dealing with the increasingly small numbers of anti-vaxxers who are out there, who, while they're getting more intense, are fewer in number, while the vast majority of Americans are finally getting vaccinated or getting around to it. And a lot of the ones who were just waiting for the FDA to clear it, got their appointments, or waiting for their second one, have got their first dose or getting their second dose, want to get on with life, want to make sure that, kids can return to school safely, and that the numbers of the, why the news is showing you so many of the crazies that are fomenting these kind of Nicki Minaj fantasies about, concerns about the vaccine and the like, and gatherings like this one, is because the news in general is returning to a level of blissful boredom. The biggest fear in the news media these days, especially after the 4 years of Donald Trump, where we were all white knuckling as we drove down the road of our democracy, was that once Biden got in, a lot of what you're seeing, the alliances that are being formed, even the big scale stuff, the Australian, US, and Korea, and UK gathering of nations, the Quad meetings, using economic and military pressure to push back on China. These are kind of things that are reminiscent of political moves in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. There's nothing stands out as an extraordinary, strike. Literally, that the getting out of Afghanistan, the reason why it was such a big news burst, besides the fact that the Trump administration had backlogged all the SIVs and made the Biden administration do 2 jobs instead of 1, getting out, which endangered everyone involved. I lay it at his feet, because the deadline was set by him and it could only be pushed so far, and he wouldn't do any of the work leading up to it. All of the SIV people, all of the non-essential embassy staff could have all been moved out of the country last year during COVID, using COVID as an excuse. Under the cover of COVID, you could have gotten them all out. No one even questions that. COVID would have been the perfect reason to withdraw all troops from Afghanistan. But he didn't do it because all along he even said at the fire department that he went to the other day, I knew it was going to fall as soon as we left. It was going to go to chaos. The Taliban, I knew the Taliban was going to take over as soon as we got, which is why he didn't do it. Of course, that's what everybody was telling him. That's what they were telling Biden too. And Biden's response was, yes, I know. That's what you guys have been telling everybody. That's not a reason to stay. And now, after we get through this hump and we're dealing with a crush of Haitian migrants at the border, which you could time directly to the assassination of the Haitian president a few weeks ago, a normal reaction, a normal occurrence you could expect, and they're going through the process of either direct expulsion or allowing some families in, but individuals are being expelled as they come forward. So they just go to the back of the line. So the line keeps growing because it's a small stack of people added to the same people being sent back, and they just are trying again and trying again and trying again. And this happens all the time at the border. We know this. It's been happening forever. You know how you solve it? Comprehensive immigration reform, which the Democrats and Joe Biden are presenting, and that we should finally get around to. It's got bipartisan support. There's a bill, but bipartisanship and an actual functioning immigration system, that's boring. You can't get people angry and scared to the polls. They have to start voting because they care about democracy and want the best version of a good plan, not the lesser of two evils and freaking out and all that kind of stuff, and calling the other side evil. So the blissful wave of boring government, the deep sleep people can have with someone like Joe Biden at the helm, dealing with even the most difficult issues, I mean, obviously, there's slight differences if you live in Florida or Texas or South Dakota or places where they're running out of hospital beds because your governor refuses to take the necessary precautions in an emergency, as if they're. It is literally become a situation in governors of pro-Trump states that they must show their fealty towards Trump by mitigating any support for the health and safety of their own citizens against COVID, so that they don't upset him or the minority of his supporters amongst the Republicans in their state, which are often the majority of the voters in their state, for fear of scaring the primary voters, the psychopaths that are, maggots and Trumpsters among them, for fear of driving those folks away, or even the violence that they get threatened with if they dare do, like the recent Ohio congressman who's not going to run next time because of threats against his family because he voted for impeachment. For fear of that, they are willing to sacrifice their own citizenry and, in every single case, their own voters. Because when you hear 98% of the people who are dying are unvaccinated, and 95% of the people who are hospitalized are unvaccinated, what you're hearing is, at this point, people who voted for Donald Trump. And let me be abundantly clear, I've said this in the past and I will say it again. I wish no one ill in this circumstance. I do not revel in the fact that these people are being put on ventilators and saying goodbye to their families via FaceTime. Being crazy or being stupid is not a capital offense in my book for anyone. You can disagree. Many people in my chat room do with me. This is my line. This is where I draw my line, and ethically, morally. And these governors, all of them, it is if, remember when Trump was talking about the hurricane reaching Alabama and he used his Sharpie to draw that line? And the governors of those states had to shore up their hurricane defense and go on television and say, yeah, we're prepping our FEMA stuff. Not only to let Trump know that they're in on it with him. They will, they'll protect his lie, protect his ridiculous Sharpie stunt by pretending it's genuine. But also talk to the Trumpsters in their own state, going, yes, I take Trump King of Weather's word over reality. Don't get mad at me. And so Jacqueline in our chat saying they're victims of propaganda. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And a level of propaganda that predates Trump and has been, ginning up for years, that start with everything from flat earth conspiracies and the Zeitgeist movies and the viewership that supported them and the artificial bot viewership that pushes those things to the top, so that you spend all of your time questioning your country, your government, and its function or its worth as a democracy, and ignore the growing threat of Russia or what China is doing with the Uyghurs, or expansionism in the South China Seas, those kind of things, which normally would be the international worries of the American people, because they're concerned for the freedom of other human beings on the planet. We'll take a break. We'll be back right after this. It's the House Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide, on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk, 773-763-9278. We'll take your calls. Boy, it sure does help that the guy who's running the January 6th thing that's in charge of it doesn't look like a skinhead video game character or anything.
We already have poll numbers that show essentially half of the public believes that the government is holding political prisoners. That came from Rasmussen.
From Rasmussen, half of the public. The people who regularly pick up the phone when Rasmussen calls, half the public thinks that political prisoners are being held. Yes, Lord of the Thumbs.
It's not partisan. 45% of Democrats agree with that.
No, they do not. They certainly do not. 45% of Democrats do not think that the people who attacked the Capitol on January 6th are political prisoners. Like that's just beyond goofy. Say 15%. Say something that even sounds reasonable, like the same people who, the Marianne Williamson wing of the anti-vaxxer Democrats think that political prisoners are a problem, and that some of these people, all they did was trespass and they should probably go home. But they don't. But the people who attacked stuff or shit on the walls, those probably should. Yeah, the Lex Luthor look is big in the right wing these days. 47%.
In fact, yesterday I had a wonderful interview, which is you can see the full live stream because I don't chop it up. Put the full live stream up with my good new friend from MSNBC, Miss Yasmin. And after the interview, a guy who had watched the whole thing, I've never recognized before, came up and started to be rather critical of the line of questioning, saying that it was completely
Comes back in 5 seconds.
about. They can't paint every person hitting a police officer with a fire extinguisher or violence like that, or destroying
This is Damian Perdue
property.
of Think Theory Radio, Saturdays at 6 p.m. You're listening to Hal Sparks' radio program, Mega Worldwide.
I thought there was going to be like a new one every break. I was so excited.
You want more, Hal? We'll give you more. Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide on Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820. Booyah!
Welcome back to the show, everybody. So we were tuning in to some of the speeches that were on. Oh boy. So this, I'm blitzing on the young man's name. We'll just call him Lex Loser. I like that. I think that works. He makes an interesting statement. I'll see if I can grab the piece of it here.
Democrats agree with that.
Hold on. So this was the idea. He's presenting to these folks that the majority of Americans believe that the people who are arrested on January 6th, who are still in jail, are indeed political prisoners. That the majority of Americans believe this.
We actually have one person who was also here, or a couple that were also with us at the United Nations a few weeks ago. Can we hear from y'all?
Yeah, they're the same people, dum-dum.
But you see the crowd now.
Yes, for those of you that haven't seen this guy, let's see. I might be able to find, his info. But the guy who's actually coordinating it, if you want to know what he looks like, if you ever watched the game Hitman and decided, I wonder what an 8-bit version of this game would be like, that would work. But I do think Lex Loser actually works great. I think that'll stick.
And this is because of persistence. Our message is reaching our fellow American citizens.
No, it is not. It is largely empty.
We already have poll numbers that show essentially half of the public believes that the government is holding political prisoners.
That essentially says
Rasmussen. And it's not partisan. 45% of Democrats agree with that.
Now imagine actually hearing that. You went all the way to D.C. for this rally, even though your father told you not to go because it's probably a honeypot. And some of the chat rooms you're on are like, dude, it's just an FBI sting. Don't go. But you did anyways because you really want to show your support and you're not afraid of these jackbooted thugs. And so you go all the way to D.C., stand in a crowd where you and your supporters of this message are outnumbered by photojournalists 2-1. And the guy who put the thing on, who knows full well that there's more press there than people, than regular people. The press are people too. I'm just saying. 3-1. Nobody now. Yeah. Gets up there and tells you in this sparse, pitiful crowd that 50% of Democrats believe that the people being held for attacking police officers and crapping in the Capitol and breaking windows and chanting hang Mike Pence and building a gallows on the Capitol grounds are political prisoners. That half of Democrats believe this. Imagine what you would feel like if you were there. Oh my gosh, thank you, Trish, Gorman for the super chat, giving in the name of those us that love horses that will donate resources, give to your charity. Happy birthday. Oh, thank you so much. Yes, Trish, I will pass that on. For anybody that wants to give to a charity in my name for my birthday, Wild Horse Ranch Rescue is my preferred charity. I also support Project Angel Food, if that's more your speed. But both of those would be lovely, and they both deserve all the help they can get. So there you go. I will be posting links all week. But anyways, Lex Loser, who put this on, is telling a crowd of 19 sympathizers and 600 photojournalists that 40% of Democrats actually think that January 6th folks are detainees held by held illegally as political prisoners by the Biden regime. Now, granted, if I was standing there and I had gone through this, I would have a great awakening, I think. You know, not in the Q style, obviously. I think we would all wake up in that moment and go, oh my gosh, I've been playing 3-card Monty this whole time. The game was rigged from the start. The kid sees dead people. I'm dead. I've been dead this whole time. Like every single realization moment you could possibly have that you've been suckered would come just barreling towards your prefrontal cortex and scream at you to go home. But the fact that this guy would stand up in front of this pitiful crowd and tell them that they're not alone, that half of the American people support them and believe what they're saying, what brought you here today with the hopes of giving a second go at it, is supported by half of the American populace, including half of Democrats. Now, if he'd had just stopped at, 80% of Republicans believe this, because most of the sensible Republicans aren't calling themselves Republicans anymore or are identifying as independents. Just like after Bush 2 and the Afghan-Iraq debacle started, a lot of, what became the Obama independents, people who just voted against that to prove that I'm an independent. I voted for Bush twice and I was a registered Republican, but I'm an independent now. And to prove my independent bona fide, I'm not ready to be a Democrat, but I'll vote for Obama because I don't like the other guy and it will just stay in there. And I want to prove that I want to get us out, even though I voted twice to keep us in. That those people have all left again. They run for the hills from their, the big R on their shirt. They hang up the jersey when they're too embarrassed. And those folks aren't included in these kind of polls anymore. When Rasmussen calls people up and says, "Are you a Republican?" They go, "Yeah!" Then Rasmussen asks them the rest of the questions. If they go, "Are you a Republican?" "Well, I was registered as a Republican." Hello? Matt in our chat room saying, if they're detainees, we have a dog kennel at Gitmo for them. It's curious. Imagine the craziness that will come when the Biden administration announces later this year that they're closing Gitmo. Just count on it. It's on its way. It's in the works. It's in the chute. I'm not a part of the administration. I don't have any inside track, but I'm just telling you as somebody who's right as often as you can predict people who are unvaccinated end up in the hospital 95 to 97% of the time. I got a pretty good batting average that's going to happen either by December or January. The moves to close Gitmo permanently will happen. Imagine, if you will, these folks, the Justice for Jan 6 folks, as January 6 approaches again, and they decide to have another pitiful rally, that the United States is closing Gitmo, and yet these political detainees are still awaiting trial because they keep firing their lawyers and lashing out at judges and threatening people. And so they get, limited. It's difficult to get their trial in order because they start chucking bags of poo through the bars of their cell and say, "I'm a sovereign citizen and I should be freed." And then they try to assault a guard, and then they're on trial for assaulting a guard. And then the question becomes, did the trial for assaulting the guard happen before the trial for assaulting a police officer in the Capitol happened? Oh, God. And these people are working through that legal Gordian knot that they've created for themselves, all the while Bush administration, fans, Trump administration fans who no longer call themselves Republicans are like, I don't know these guys. I don't know who they are. I've never even seen these guys before. And the Biden administration is, of course, closing GITMO. It just the wailing and gnashing of teeth will be gorgeous. By the way, we're on the radio. If you don't know, WCPT820.com is a great website to program into your bookmarks. And of course, you can put 8:20 a.m. in your car. Just set and hit the button, or just hit the button and hold it. I don't know how your car works, but it should have one of those buttons. It really should. And of course, we're here every Saturday, and we stream live at infotainmentwars.com, where we have a lovely chat going on right now, and you can like and subscribe on the YouTube channel, which would really help us out. We're getting close to our goal of 25,000. It's amazing. Once we hit that point, the algorithm just kicks us up another notch, and it's and then we're on a bullet train to 100K, and it's going to be crazy, and I'm very excited. So, they're interviewing folks and then having ongoing speakers at this event. And Lex Luthor is, I guess, hosting all of these folks. So instead of having a lineup of spokespeople and then this guy who put the whole thing on coming up and giving, the keynote speech about it and organizing the entire thing, he's basically just introducing the folks that are related to the folks who are in jail right now, some of whom feel guilty for turning them in the first place. When we get back after the break, Johnny Million will be joining us. We'll be taking your calls, 773-763-9278. If you're live at the January 6th rally, please let us know. Also, there's lots of other news happening in the world that is extraordinary. The U.S., Australian, UK alliance that formed this week is causing all kinds of rows. The French pulled their ambassador from the United States this week. Yeah, you heard that right. But are we doing freedom fries again? We'll be back. There we go. Yeah, the show is out of Chicago. Yes, 773-763-9278. I respect Kinzinger. Let's see if he runs again, how that goes. He's going to run for president. He's lining it up. He's got a strategy. He's not a stupid person. He's counting. Yeah, he's counting on a lot of these folks to fail. Hold on, I've got to open up. Where is it? I got to open up Skype for Johnny to join us. Where are you, Johnny? How are you today? Johnny Million, are you there? Oh, he's ready. There he is. Okay. So we'll call him in. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. Mm-mm. 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 Is he there? Johnny Million, Johnny Million, where are you? There he is. Oh, here he comes. I've got him. I believe he's there. I don't know. I'll try to do it. I don't know. There he is. He's joined us. He's there. It's wonderful, isn't it? There he is. Wait, I've got to put him on the screen. Crap.
With the YouTubes, but let me see.
You can't hear me? You don't hear me? He doesn't hear me. Hold on. I got to fix it anyways. Bring him up in here. Microphone. It says I'm making noise to you. I hear you. My microphone's working. His microphone. He's got to figure it out. I'm not going to worry about it. Are you there? Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Johnny? Can you hear me, Johnny? 'Cause I hear you calling me.
I gotta mute the YouTube. You're coming in hot. Coming in hot.
How do I sound on YouTube? Does it sound quality?
You sound perfect.
Oh, excellent. That's good.
Yeah, good quality.
All right. I'm working on it every day, trying to make it better. Hold on one second. I've got to bring you on video capture device. Grabbing the thing. Then we add the source to the dig.
Squeezing it twice.
What?
Grabbing the thing and squeezing it twice.
No.
It rhymes with video capture device.
That's true. It does in the most dangerous way.
Can't see him, LOL.
I'm working on it.
Okay.
I'm working on it. I'm bringing him in. Calm yourself.
Come play. Oh, someone's inviting me to play tic-tac-toe. Can they hear me yet?
Yes, they can hear you.
Okay, good.
Hold on. I got it. And we're coming. Hold on. Check this out. It's about to happen. Here it comes. Ready to go. And wait, I got to switch it over this way. Sorry. Transition. Here we go. There he is. Look at that. Check, check. Give me a check.
Check, check.
Yep.
Check, check.
There he is. Look at that.
There I am. Yay.
Yay. Okay, terrific. Okay, cool. Johnny Million's with us, everybody. There he is. Hi, Johnny Million. How are you?
Hello.
Hi. So, yeah.
Thank you for dealing with my tardiness.
We're looking away from each other. This is me looking at Johnny Million actually right now. So this is what it looks like.
And this is me. I've got Hal like right. My webcam is right there, and Hal's face is right there.
Right.
So
and
I can
most
just look
of the
right
time
at
we'll be doing this. So,
but let's see if I need to look at Hal. Which way do I need to look? Do I look right?
Look to your right. There you go. That's it. Hi. Hi.
Hi. Now I get to watch that on YouTube.
Yeah, it's good.
Oh,
That'll be
creepy.
a GIF. Can't wait. Yeah.
Oh my word.
Yeah.
So how are things in Washington right now?
A little pitiful. Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
It's kind of it's a little bit on the fade actually. I wonder if they have to pay for the extra security. Because if you're going to organize and get permits and stuff like that, if they require extra security, you should be on the hook for it.
It seems that way.
Mm-hmm.
Someone's paying for it.
Mm-hmm.
May as well be the people that scared them into doing it.
Let me see. I have the. Where is it? Here it is. Oh, that's not it. That's on Nicki Minaj.
Oh, someone says I'm better than Greg Kelly. I don't know what that means.
Oh, Greg Kelly is he's on Newsmax. He and Dan Bongino are always looking down.
Thank you for that faint praise.
Yeah, that's right.
Wow. Hey, did you see that tweet I sent with the metal song set to Alex Jones screaming?
Yes. And have you seen the folk song version?
No.
Oh yeah. It's a joy.
Back in 20, and we have a couple callers waiting on the line.
Cool.
Oh, yo.
Mm-hmm. Back in a second, guys. Yes, happy Septeenth. That's what we're calling the holiday today for the January 6th.
I like that.
Septeenth. Yeah. It's the first true teabag holiday.
You're listening to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
Had people walk out of me before, but not with being so charming.
Radio streaming at HalSparks.com. I don't care for you if it'll keep it like you're prowling out.
Us faithful and sick.
Might be a good time for you guys to give up.
Oh boy. So, welcome Johnny Million. Thanks for joining us. You were in a race this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. What were you doing?
Yeah, someone in the I'm doing great. Someone in the chat said, I don't know, Johnny doesn't talk very much whenever I'm here. So, I don't know whether I need to double down or just clam up today.
It's really an artistic choice, I think. I would say go riff on that. Go with that. You know what I mean? Maybe
that's right.
Maybe talk a lot without saying anything. That apparently
there we go.
On YouTube, that's
I'm
a
really
big
good
money
at that.
maker. Keep talking, just don't say anything.
Don't say anything.
If anything,
because we gotta fill time.
That's the advice they give to every speaker as they walk on stage at the Justice for Jan 6 gathering. I'm nervous. I don't usually speak in front of people. Look, just keep talking. Just don't say anything. Okay, thank you. I feel so free now. I feel totally free.
Free.
Now, obviously, in talking about the 17th gathering for justice for Jan 6, which is, by the way, Jan 6 sounds like a sci-fi robot movie about the most disgruntled Brady
AI.
child.
Yeah.
Imagine a digital Jan who's just getting back at everyone, just laser eyeing Marcia. Yeah.
And she's the sixth version of Jan. They just keep cloning her as a robot, trying to get it right.
Right. Yes, it's the Terminator starring Jan from the Brady Bunch. Jan 6. Sorry. Anyways, there's obviously a lot of other news going on. Real news, like the United States and the UK and Australia joined forces this week in a way that has made France so angry that they're calling American cheese freedom cheese now. I don't know if you know this. France.
I love the sound of freedom cheese.
Freedom cheese sounds delicious and patriotic. It does sound. It's blue cheese and red wine cheese. Like the kind where they make, and then regular American cheese without the yellow.
Yeah.
Right, that makes sense. In a little loaf, like a Neapolitan.
Oh, right. Boy, isn't white American cheese disturbing? It always freaks me out.
Right. It's like sodas with no coloring in them. They're like, oh, I've been lied to this whole time. It doesn't need to be that color to taste like this.
I need this to be crayon yellow.
That's right. This makes no sense. So that's justice for crayon yellow cheese. There's an argument that is the Lollapalooza sub stage at the Justice for Jan 6. The side stage is arguing that, I don't know if y'all know this, but American cheese is really white. They dyed that color just to make us less important. All right. The U.S., Australia, and the U.K. Formed a strategic alliance to push back against China's expansionism into the Indo-Pacific region and the South China Seas, and in many ways to protect Taiwan and arguably the potential for South Korea if China ever gets really desperate and decides to use North Korea to get the resources of South Korea, which has been one of those like subterranean fears that's been going on for a long time in the Pentagon and other places, that might be a possibility. And that fear ebbs and flows depending on how on its heels China gets at certain times. So the United States formed this alliance, and in this alliance, there are going to be 12 nuclear-powered submarines that are going to be made in Australia using U.S. and U.K. technology to propel them. These subs do not have nukes on them. They are nuclear powered. And
why am I already angry? I'm so angry.
Yeah, just because nuclear is in there. Yeah, and you're part French.
Nuclear.
I beg your pardon. You're right. Nuclear. And the reason they use nuclear drives in these is because it makes them run silent. They're hard to find. You can't find. Sure. Yeah, they don't have conventional engines on them, so they
One might say they're silent but deadly.
That's true. Yeah, they are. They are the Trump Jr. of. I'm sorry, this is so bad. So the point I'm trying to make, if I have one at all, you see how we followed the advice? Just keep talking. Don't say anything.
Keep talking. Don't have a point.
The French pulled their ambassadors from Australia and America this week.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were back and forth about like this. This seems like a strange turn of events. This seems like, where did this come from all of the sudden? This seems like a big ratchet up. Here's, we're all complaining about how, Trump is distancing us from our NATO allies. And we hope Biden will get in there and kind of reform the bonds amongst, these groups. And then here comes Biden like a bull in a china shop, making France all angry. What in the world? Well, it turns out France and the EU, France particularly through the EU, arranged for a deal with China that was not quite a full expansion of the Belt Road Initiative into Europe, but an investment alliance with China. One that the United States is not engaging in and doesn't think it's a good idea to engage in because of how their behavior towards the Uyghurs and Hong Kong democracy, and what they're doing in Africa, what they're planning on doing in places like Afghanistan, and the quality of the work that they do, quite frankly. Beyond all of that is that the Belt Road Initiative is largely window dressing, and what they do is they roll in and give you a road that'll last 8 years, but debt that will last 25. Say what you will about the idea that the UK and the US over time have given money to developing countries and expected loan payments and the like, but the stuff they built is still there. Unlike a lot of the stuff that the Chinese are building, say in Pakistan on the Belt Road Initiative, which has a 10-year shelf life. Just like a lot of the Ghost City buildings in China, it's bad. It's not good, and it's not because the Chinese people aren't ingenious and productive and caring, smart individuals. It's because their government has an entirely different strategy, and that strategy does not involve the rest of the world having a functioning infrastructure. Understand that. Why would they go and build roads in these countries when they plan to basically take the resources eventually and hold on to them forever? Yeah. If you can build up your industry and develop as a country on your own, it doesn't do us any good, right? The Chinese are thinking. And the EU just struck this deal in a hurry in December of last year because they knew the Biden administration would be against it and would want them to curtail it. So they decided to do it under a presidency in the United States that would look the other way, namely the Trump administration. For all this talk about how Biden's tied up with China and he can't do anything but, kowtow out of China and he's giving all them and Hunter Biden and yada yada. The reality is that the EU secured this deal and started moving it forward in a hurry because they knew the Biden administration would be against it. And now, and now we formed this new, beyond the meeting of the Quad, which will push back against China, using India and South Korea as well, as I think it's Japan against Chinese expansion in the Indo-Pacific region. We now have this other alliance, Australia, UK, and the United States forming together. This is brand new. And the whole goal is to stop military expansion. There's an economic expansion plan, and then there's a military expansion plan. And Australia took a real risk doing this. And the United States, this is, along with, Nancy Pelosi calling what's happening to the Uyghurs genocide for the first time, signals a strategic shift in how the United States is viewing China overall on a material level. Instead of just casting aspersions on them and saying things like China virus, which equates the, COVID with the individual human beings in China, a recognition that the government itself is the problem, not the people. And if the people had an option, as Hong Kong has shown, without being rounded up themselves and their lives being put in danger, just like Russia, they would actually have a vast and expansive democracy in that country and make up their own minds about how they want to. And they would have, by the way, a bigger social safety net. For all the talk about communism and socialism, the United States has a better social safety net than China does. People fall through the cracks all the time. They just get scooped up and disappeared. It's sad. It's heartbreaking. And right now we've got elections happening all over. Today there's an election happening, or today, tonight, last night, this morning, whenever the time difference is in Russia. Canada's Monday. Russia's today. Of course, Putin's strategy, we got to take a break, but Putin's strategy, of course, is jail all your opponents, and it really affects turnout. Wouldn't it be fascinating if he lost to someone who was in jail? It wouldn't be the first time a country like Russia has had, that kind of circumstance.
I've heard that before.
Yeah. China got rid of poverty. Yes. By disappearing the poor largely. And no, they didn't. There are as many poor people living on, near starvation levels in China as there are human beings in the entire country of the United States right now. I mean, grasp those numbers. And that's also stacked on top of my personal belief, and we got to take a break, my personal belief that there's not nearly as many people in China as they say there are. That's after being there, after spending a lot of time there, after traveling a lot there, I don't buy it. There's a lot of people there, not that many. Not that kind of numbers.
You spun around with your arms out.
I did.
It didn't hit anyone.
Nope. I was walking through crowded areas of town that were the biggest shopping districts, and I could I could stick my arms out and not bump into anyway in a way that I could not in Times Square. The entire country of China should look like, the big cities anyway, should look like Times Square all the time if they have that many people. They do not. We'll be back right after this. I cracked the case. China is hiding people. Yes. Well, China also is pretending they have more people than they do. That's partly what the building rush is about. It's the illusion. Look at all those buildings. Oh my God, so many people. There's nobody in them. Miles and miles and miles of empty buildings. These are the inflatable tanks of World War II. The Allies and
ooh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, the Allies put inflatable tanks on on the opposite front that they were attacking from, so that the Luftwaffe would fly over it and go, oh my God, they're amassing tons of tanks and camps and stuff at this area. And there were soldiers running around in between, like getting in and out of tents and stuff, making it look like if they flew over, that there were lots of people there. And there just weren't. Thank you, Foozle. It's 17th family and I will build a tradition, gallows and poop in each other's rooms. It's great. It's the ugly version of Festivus, right? So China's putting up blow up dolls. I see. I'm not saying they are. I'm just saying most of them are made there.
Oh.
Boom! Mic drop.
Yeah.
I rest my case. But
so they get like the factory seconds.
Yeah, my guess is that China has somewhere in the order of 600 to 700 million people. India has 1 billion, and they're concerned that if India realizes that they don't have nearly as many people, that they're going to bum rush the Tibetan regions and get the water that they've been fighting over, because that's what the fight over Tibet is about. It's about water. It's about glacier water. And if you need water for that many people, you want that. You want to get it before they get it, essentially. And so if India smelled blood in the water and recognized on a level that they could basically march across the country, and they've got a very nationalistic, Trumpish kind of leader right now who would absolutely do such a thing.
Oh, boy.
Inflatable tanks. Do they make that for yard ornaments? Yes, they do. I talked to this business.
They're great for Halloween.
I had this conversation with this guy when I came back from China, who's like a big Chinese investor, like invests in companies over there and that kind of stuff. And I brought up my theory.
Oh, wait, I want people to think I'm paying attention.
Coming back in 10.
Johnny, I'm looking at my wall. I'm
looking at my cat's litter box.
So, samey same.
Attention, attention. Stop what you're doing. Because we're coming back to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
Mm-hmm. They went a little crazy with it, and I appreciate it.
Now let's get back with Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
We could so get down in a deep dive about my experiences in China leading up to I was filming a show there for months at a time in the 2 years before COVID broke out. I came back, was doing my radio show in 2019 in December from my dad's house, while I was on Christmas vacation, bringing my kid to see his grandparents for the holidays and that kind of stuff. And I'm doing my show out of my dad's office. And I started telling everybody, look, there's something going around in China and it's freaking them out. There's really gnarly stuff happening. And if you know anybody from there or you've been exposed to anybody from there and they might be ill or you feel ill, cough into your elbow, don't go out if you're feverish, that kind of stuff, because I was aware of it then, just having been there. So there was no way the Trump administration wasn't aware of it. And there's also no way that other countries in the world weren't aware of it. They were just monitoring it, and either their scientists were poo-pooing it or going, yeah, it might be like SARS, or we'll see. And they were taking a wait-and-see view of it, or other people were panicking and not being listened to. They were Cassandra-ing at a massive clip. And the Chinese people in many ways are the victims in this as much as just as the rest of the world is, because there were doctors in the Wuhan area in Hebei province who were seeing this rise in cases and were sounding the alarm, and they were shut down and silenced. Their words were taken off of social media. They were censored, and and saying these things, and then one of them, the main one, ended up dying of COVID. And there were a lot of stories about that stuff. And that, and China famously shut down travel outside of Hebei province to the rest of the provinces, but you could fly out of Wuhan and Hebei province to the rest of the world. And that's, that was the Chinese government, not the Chinese people. They weren't concerned in that regard. And that's what partly the Hong Kong protests are about. That's what the people, if you want to see what Chinese people are allowed to do with democracy, when they're allowed to have it, look at Taiwan. Taiwan is a fantastic country with vibrant culture, a really open society, wonderful architecture. The best oolong tea in the world comes from there. There, I said it. Taipei 101 is one of the most beautiful.
Weird hill to die on, but okay.
Taipei 101, that was for a while the tallest building in the world. Beat by is gorgeous and adorable. It's built on a bamboo based architectural concept. It's got these giant, in all reference to Nicki Minaj, giant spheres on every corner of the building that are on huge springs that allow the building to sway like bamboo when the wind gets strong and stuff, so that it won't tip over, because that's the problem with these giant buildings. And unlike the Burj Khalifa,
how many people do you think that lie will kill? The swollen testicle lie, hiding gonorrhea from your girlfriend.
I'm gonna go with there maybe a few AC/DC fans, a couple of Accept fans, and some soccer fans, and that's it.
Just the big bald ones.
Yes, just people who like those songs. But if you look at Taiwan, Taiwan is the blueprint for democracy in China. It's wonderful. I really enjoyed while I was there. It has its quirks, certainly, as we all do. Some curious. Don't get me started on Bin Laden, which is a strange stimulant that they enjoy, which is these nuts that have this goo in it wrapped in a leaf, and you chew it instead of smoking cigarettes. Yes, it's in line with you chew it instead of smoking, basically, and it's got a nicotine-like stimulant, and it's pretty popular over there.
Oh, okay.
And you get it from these girls sitting in these weird booths on the side of the road, because that's what draws the truckers, and the truckers are the one that buy it, so they put a pretty girl in the booth. It's so strange. It's a strange part of the society, but gay marriage is legal there. It's a very open society. Like, it's great. And if China ever had a shot, and if they were ever exposed to en masse the democratic stylings of Taiwan, we would be living in a whole new world right now, Disney style. And the same thing is true of Russia, which has elections right now as well. Is Alexei Navalny the solution to all of Russia's problems? No. Is he the absolute key to them escaping the current lockbox that they're in? Because the irony is that Putin thinks that Alexei Navalny is in jail. In reality, the Russian people themselves right now are locked in a jail. They're in a permanent stuck position. That country has the land and the resources and the ingenuity and the scientific know-how that, brought them nose to nose in the space program and in the nuclear technology programs with the United States of America. And with the economy the size of Italy, they were able to do this. The Russian people are brilliant and when they're allowed to be. And yet, nobody's buying a Russian car, a Russian washing machine, except a Russian, I suppose. And that's a shame. There is no reason why they wouldn't be competing in the world market with better ideas and greater things. That Russian windmills and green technology and the stuff that would be allowed to flourish if they weren't under the thumb of this nonsense. The same thing that's happening in China right now. And the Biden administration knows this. And how are they handling it? Well, they are taking a stronger stance about supporting Alexei Navalny and verbally doing it in a way that Trump never would. And they are forming alliances like the UK, Australian, US alliance, the AUKUS alliance, to distinctly push back against the military expansion while supporting democracy in Hong Kong. And slowly but surely, we are in the game of risk. We have moved out of Call of Duty and into game of risk. And that is the big fear right now. That is the big fear from sections of the news media, and it's certainly the fear of the right wing right now. What you are seeing from the Ted Cruzes of the world and the Donald Trumps of the world, and their biggest fear is not the socialism's going to take over America and tyranny within the shot and all that kind of stuff. No, it's that you're going to realize that they're being a bunch of drama queens and that none of what they're saying is true. And that the reality is we will get back to in this country a concept of we want a functioning democracy that doesn't eat up 80% of our mental space during our day, worrying about whether or not our government is functioning or not. We want it to we want it in competent hands that when there is a problem, we know about the problem, we hear about the problem, we hear about the multiple solutions so we can participate in it, like the border crisis and other things, but that it is being handled in a steady way, not a reactionary way. Now shut it. Open it. Now shut it. Now open it. Now shut it. Now open it. Like that's the Trumpian way. That's the maggot way. That's the Republican way. And it's simplistic and it's very tic-tac-toe. And in the Biden administration is taking a long game approach to this, and a lot of it is paying off. The whaling, I will predict that the smaller infrastructure bill will get through, period, end of story, within the next few weeks. And the larger one will get through in reconciliation, and it will be about half as big. And what people will not recognize, and I don't want to give away the game.
And it'll still be really big.
It'll be huge. And it will provide, like I said, a functioning infrastructure bank that will allow loans to be taken from that infrastructure bank that when they are paid back, will give money into the federal coffers that then will seed more money that will be able to be loaned for other projects. And it will it will basically create a wind up of how we create infrastructure in our country that is no longer reliant on arguments over the debt ceiling. We got to take a break. When we come back, some of your calls, 773-763-9278. Oh, yeah, we're going to take calls. Oh, yeah, it's going to happen. Get used to the idea. Yeah, that lowrider sky saying, stop the count. Count the vote. Stop the count. Stop the count.
Yeah.
Stop the steal. Start the steal. Start stealing the steal. Steal the steal.
Steal the steal.
You have to what?
We got to steal first.
Yeah. You were about to say.
Oh, I was going to say I've got to tell Devin I've got a new song to add to the collection.
Well, yeah, load that in there. 965 people just in our chat. That's not even viewership. A lot of people watch and don't participate in the chat. You know I love you. You don't have to participate in the chat, by the way, to subscribe. That doesn't automatically put you in the chat, just in case you were worried. And you don't have to click the notification bell. That's for people who post like little 3-minute old school videos where they're like, every Wednesday I post a new video, so put the no. You don't have to do that. I'm on a schedule. I'm a streamer, so you can just show up when you show up when I'm here. So you can avoid that annoyance. This is something Twitch people don't have to worry about.
I just went on Facebook to message Devin, and I saw that it's Richard Hunter's birthday today.
Yes, that's true. That is true. Big Dick Hunter, as we like to call him. That was his radio DJ name in Dallas, or in Austin. Dallas? Dallas.
It's a good one.
Yeah. There we go. Five eggs and ham 84. That's awesome.
5 eggs.
5 eggs. I keep kicking my headphones out. I have to find a better system to, and they always have when you do an IFB on the news, they have a clip, and I'm just using regular headphones, so I have to keep sitting on the wire. This is just not done. So I have to do this like tuck. Thank you,
do
Barbie.
That when I record in the studio. Oh, Barbie.
Thank you, Barbie. I
do that with headphone cords.
Mm-hmm.
I sit on them.
Right. There's got to be a better way.
So you need the exasperated before and after.
Yes, but
I can't believe
it's not donuts. Oh, sorry. There's got to be a better
donuts.
way. Paper clips or bobby pins work? Well, thanks, Connie. That's a good point. Put the cord through your belt loop. I don't wear a belt. Well, I guess the loop itself. But then the problem is, if I stand up and forget I have it. Yeah. I got some Bluetooth ones, but there's a delay, so they're slower. Like, so everybody's out of sync. So I'm a couple of seconds, like a millisecond behind, and it's just weird doing especially when I'm talking to Johnny or I'm doing a clip, for me to hit pause and that kind of stuff, and the timing of it comedically is kind of important to me. So I, like when I'm playing a video, I've got my pause start button, and that little drag on it when I used to use them on another computer and they weren't Bluetooth 5.0. I need to get some gamer earbuds.
Hey, yeah.
Because they all have low latency, right?
Yep.
That'll do it. And then use those on the PC, because there's most of the gamer stuff.
Coming back in 15.
How you don't wear a belt? You're a commie? Yes. Nice, Civic Volley. Thanks. By the way, can I just say for the record,
I know I'm only on one day a week. I
kick an ass on
I'm gonna
Twitch.
have to jump on GarageBand and start sawing something together. This is the Hal Sparks Show. Wow, and a guitar note, and then progressive and all. Yeah, it's gonna be good.
Hey, Hal, did you mean something like this?
This is the Hal Sparks Show. Wow, and a guitar note, and progressive and all. Yeah, it's gonna be good.
The Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
Yeah, it is going to be good. Welcome back to the show, everybody. I want to take some calls. Obviously, I don't know that we have anybody who's actually at the Jan 6 thing, but people might have some opinions on it. I don't doubt. So let's see if we can get those folks on the line. So who do we have on the line right now, Chicago?
Well, perfect. Steve from the Gold Coast wants
excellent.
to talk about the rally.
There you go. Hey, Steve, welcome.
Yes, thank you for taking my call. Thank you. I wanted to talk about the rally because I'm sort of interested, I have this morbid curiosity to see what happens tomorrow and Monday on right-wing talk radio, on cable outlets and so forth, because I want to see how they're going to spin this, because obviously the wide-angle shot is out of the question, because that will betray exactly how few people showed up to the thing. So then I suspect you're going to have to, resort to a few interviews, where you get a really tight shot on a few of the nuts that actually showed up. And you can spin it as that, because if a couple 100,000 people had shown up, it would be the big story on Newsmax, on One American News.
Right Side Broadcasting would be live. They would be live there, and Trump would be speaking. One of the reasons why everybody's like, Trump floated the idea that it was a setup, don't go, because he heard the turnout was going to be crap. And if he can say, well, there would have been a huge turnout, but I told them to stay home. That'll be part of the spin.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I had made that point months ago after January 6th, because, what people sort of forget is that, they wanted 1 million people to show up for January 6th. They got it less than 50,000. And then a group of them decided to head to the Capitol and storm the Capitol. They did, and obviously, Capitol Police were outnumbered. They didn't get any support. Surprise, surprise, who's the president? And out of that, I think a lot of Americans took the wrong message, thinking that there are millions of people out there on the Trump nut side ready to take up arms and go fight the American military, the National Guard, the police. No.
There is not.
There are a few wackos out there who... Right, exactly.
And they were all in one place.
But quite frankly, right, exactly. And what we did was we set the right precedent, because we said, you know what? This happens, we are going to find you. We are going to scour all of the video that's available. We are going to arrest you. We are going to aggressively prosecute you. Yes. And these people got the message. You want to be stupid? You play stupid games. You win stupid prizes.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened. And now somebody was sitting at home saying to themselves, let's see.
my only hang up.
Get arrested or
knock yourself out. Right, exactly. Please show up and show your patriotism by not wearing any kind of mask, showing us exactly who you are, engaging in violence, so it makes our job easier because we can corral you. We'll tell you what, if you're going to do this lunacy again, we'll create a pen for you to do it in, and then we can just gather you from the pen instead of having to go across the entire country and drive up dirt roads to farmhouses in Idaho, worrying about if we're going to have another Ruby Ridge every time we knock on a door. And that's precisely what happened. My question is, this is the one question.
And I don't mean to.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say that I believe that the delay is a thing. Hold on, let me say this. So the delay is a thing. There's a back and forth. What my question is, who built the gallows? We have all this footage. We have all this video. Who built the gallows? That had to take time. Who brought the wood? Where did it come from? What truck was it in? We have video that they play night and day on other sites, that right-wing sites about BLM protests, where they showed up and people come up in a truck and they've got banners to walk in front of people with, and they've got matching signs. And so the organizers for these protests, when one is spontaneous, will go, there's a spontaneous protest starting, let's get down there and help them out. And then they show up in a truck and they've got all this stuff that you can walk out there with that says Black Lives Matter and that kind of stuff. And you can walk with 10 people in a row with a big banner in front of you that gets the message, coordinates it, that kind of stuff. And there's umpteen videos, weekly about how it was a coordinated Marxist revolt against the blah, 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 because these people showed up. Meanwhile, where these people were live streaming this whole nonsense constantly, where is the footage of the people building the gallows and who brought the wood and where are they and why were they? Because of all things, for all the talk of it's unarmed, everybody was unarmed. They're unarmed. First of all, they were armed. Arms don't just mean guns. And if you pick up something, you're picking up arms against someone. And if you figure we'll just take the guns off the cops when we get there, that's also an armed revolt. They'll supply them for us. But building a gallows is hardly indicative of a peaceful, political stand. But go ahead. Now I know that the gallows thing has been bothering me for a long time.
Right, and I don't want to minimize the radical elements that exist out there that are followers of Donald Trump, because they are real. But, at the same time, what happened in the post January 6th time frame, whereby, there was this all this concern that, with the inauguration coming, not just in Washington, but in state capitals all across America, that these Trump supporters are going to rise up and we're going to have all of this violence. Guess what? Didn't happen.
Right.
Because, again, we sent the right message. And
yes.
and it's important to recognize that there are people out there who are a threat, but it has been blown way out of proportion. There, as you said, there are the idiots sitting at home screaming at the TV right now. And that's about as far as they're going to go.
Right.
But the ones that are willing to go and make a bomb or to take a gun and go out there and confront a National Guardsman or a police officer, no, that's an extremely small minority. And I think we do a disservice to ourselves when we inflate this into something that it's not.
That's also you give into it, and the news will do this. When they start talking about the genuine threat of a future Timothy McVeigh amongst this crowd, right? And you have that dude who drove up on the Supreme Court steps, and he's saying he's got a bomb, and then he ends up crawling to the cops, and he's like, I want to see my wife on Sunday. I don't want to die, but if I got to die, and there's lots of us, there's 5 other patriots. They'll be here any minute. Swear to God. A clearly mentally ill dude who's dealing with chronic pain, probably addicted to a substance, having a breakdown, and his breakdown has just found a fixation. His breakdown would have been something else. He would have been,
exactly.
There's lots of, there used to be lots of outlets, and this is now the main one. Basically, we're looking at a bunch of school shooters that have been kicked out of school, unfortunately. And
exactly.
Yeah.
And it didn't help their cause that their savior, all of that money that he managed to raise with regard to fighting this illegitimate election of Joe Biden, it didn't go to pay for the defense of any of these people arrested. He didn't pardon a single one of them. Their fearless leader did not bail them out. So that tells you something. You want to show up today and get stupid? Mm-hmm. Well, you know what? I hope you've got a lawyer on retainer, because Trump's not coming to help you.
No.
And nobody from the Trump organization or re-election campaign is coming to help you.
Yeah, somebody in the chat room also brought up the RV explosion in Nashville, that whole story, which, is a murky lunatic as well. apparently wanting to take out, I'm a peaceful patriot, wanted to take out a patriot, be a patriot, go out like a patriot, but only blow up parts of a building, giving people to clear out, that assuming, by the way, that they could or would, that there's not somebody in one of these buildings that's on, dialysis and, has their home treatment center where they do their dialysis setup and they've got a nurse and they can't be moved out of there while this idiot's going to blow up his RV across the street, or how far the damage will reach and all kinds of stuff like that. I mean, if you're bombing a city street, you're a maniac. I don't care what you think your cause is, period. And so a bunch of these folks, we still don't know, I've been scouring while we've been talking to the internet as far as who built the gallows, and whether those people, the folks that actually built the gallows, have been arrested and what their charges were specifically, because they obviously went on to do other stuff. The curious thing is,
if I can raise this last point, I do think that, like anything else, as time goes on, we require more and more information. And now that we're this many months out, we're starting to learn more and more things. So, when you have American generals who are saying to themselves, okay, I've got to keep a back door open, a line of communication with, for instance, the Chinese, in terms of General Milley, because we've got a crazy man in office. And this isn't the first time. Americans, the intelligence community, others, have had a back door with their counterparts in other countries during the Cold War. Exactly. So this is nothing new. But the fact that someone like General Milley had to say to himself, you know what, this guy is particularly crazy, and given that he doesn't believe that he was defeated in this election, and this is a particularly dangerous time for America, and I need to. And so all of these stories, I think, are eroding, chipping away at the sort of
the narrative
the
of
way
him,
in which the right looks at Donald Trump.
Right. Well, and yesterday,
some sort of a great leader.
Right. Yesterday, Dan Bongino presented this concept that General Milley is part of a deep state plan to make the right hate the military. Literally, that it was all propaganda to make them hate soldiers, because that's one of the good things about Republicans, is that they always support the troops. And so Milley's a secret way of making us not support the troops. Never mind the fact that beyond having a back door, it is standard operating procedure in a situation where, since the Cold War and even during the Cold War, to talk government, State Department to State Department, military to military, in between governments that can blow each other to bits and destroy the rest of the world in the process, to have a ratchet down conversation, so that the military guys can talk to the military guys if the civilian leadership is going nuts, and the civilian leadership can talk to each other about their military guys going nuts, and that back and forth has always existed. We have that conversation with Israel, even though we're not adversarial with them, with Pakistan, we have it with China, we have it with, the only country I don't think we have it with is North Korea, because nobody talks to them. We just do the threat game.
Right. And you don't expect that a president is necessarily going to be able to build a thermonuclear device, because he doesn't have that skill set. But there was a piece, I believe it was in the Washington Post or New York Times several years ago, just before Trump was elected. And it was this whole discussion that he, basically detailing a discussion that he had at a party with someone in terms of utilizing nuclear weapons, in which he thought that you could utilize nuclear weapons in a massive exchange, and that somehow that after, the smoke clears, you could just move right back in there and start farming again and living your life, as if he didn't understand the concept of radioactive fallout, and that, places become uninhabitable for God knows how long the period. Yeah, that's what I mean. That's so frightening that the commander-in-chief of this country did not understand, that this level of conflict, what that entails.
All I'm saying
is
as soon as we nuke the hurricane, we can take yachts out there. We could have a Trump boat parade right after we nuke the hurricane. Those waters are fine. Right. We got to take a break. Thanks for the call, Steve.
Thank you.
I think the primary point that Steve is making is one that we got to constantly remind ourselves about, which is, while dealing with the legitimate threat of the crazies that are out there and that might be driven to do horrible things because of Donald Trump, the illusion that there's a huge number is not only false, it's not only a BS, it's part of the propaganda storyline, and we saw it today at the January 6th thing when Lex Luthor came up there and said 47% of Democrats think the January 6th protesters that attacked cops are political prisoners. We'll be back. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm still trying to find if anybody... we might have to wet net this. We might need you guys to look around and see if you can find any information on any of the January 6 rioters that were arrested for building or partaking in the building of the gallows. Because I see a lot of articles about it.
Built the bombs that they found.
Well, that person, they're still looking for that person. They have footage of that person. That's a normal kind of investigation about anybody. There's people who've set buildings on fire and bombed things in the past, and they've got shaky video of them. They're looking at, for the public's help. There's nothing that I could see. There are people chanting "Hang Mike Pence." But where's the footage of the people building the gallows? It didn't come in an IKEA kit.
Back in 20.
Thanks.
Did you want happy ending or no?
We have got calls. Do we have calls?
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Okay. Let's. Then you don't have to play it. We'll continue to take calls.
Okay.
Yeah.
Joliet.
Yeah.
Attention. Stop what you're doing. Because we're coming back to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
They went a little crazy with it, and I appreciate it.
Now let's get back with Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
Welcome back. I guess somebody in the chat room just said, where's the Home Depot footage of the insurrectionists getting stuff? I think the only thing we have is that picture of Ben Shapiro with his bag with his one board in it.
The one board.
Yeah, right. He went I went and bought a plank. Baby Ben. We love Baby Ben. Aww. And yes, our discovery and our recognition that happened on the live stream over the last couple of weeks that Ben Shapiro is Porky Pig, and the voice matches perfectly.
Holy moly, that's huge.
Will never, ever, ever be able to be lived down. It is true, and you can't unhear it at any point. So, but we've got other callers, so let's grab. I want to see what folks want to talk about. We'll be like, who do we have? Chicago.
We got Robert from Florida.
Excellent, Robert from Florida. How are you?
What's going on, gentlemen?
Hi.
Hey,
hey.
When I got on the phone with the screener, I've been trying to think of a, swollen testicle joke. And I just can't just come to it.
It's really difficult. You know what I mean? When you've got, Tucker Carlson.
I like wood.
Has pretty much outdone all of us.
Deeper and longer.
When that or I suppose maybe Diamond and Silk.
Eat 2 eggs a day.
You know what I mean? When they're not impressed by this fellow's swollen testicles.
5 eggs.
Well, is the only thing that will do it for them. I'm just saying.
Wow.
All right. So, and even Mike Lindell is impressed.
Wow.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. I call about Russia and Google and Apple, but I also want to, since you asked what people thought, I called in a week or two to your show after the January 6th, and I said what to do. Not that people listen to me, but I said have a telethon. They'll out themselves. If we would have really gone out and tried to say, who is this person? If somebody knows him, okay, he's got a Miami Dolphins cap on. He's got it probably in this area. Somebody knows this guy.
Yeah.
Here's $100. Here's $1,000. Keep the Eddie going. They would have given themselves up. And the fact that there's nobody there today is the reason, because there's a new sheriff in town.
That's right.
Now the cops are told not to shoot.
Right.
And basically, the writing on the wall for Donald's over. Last week they had a pay-per-view event for Evander Holyfield.
Yeah.
I mean, if you attach your name to Evander Holyfield as a 58-year-old boxer,
right,
expect that to get over 200,000 buys. You know,
I said that when that happened, Robert. When that came up and he announced that he was doing that, and he said, "I'm getting an obscene amount of money to do this," and I was like, that is the final nail in the coffin to the idea that he's a billionaire, because supposedly, if you're worth $6 or $9 billion, which is his rotating allegation of how much money he has,
it's a lot of money. Right now, we don't know exactly.
That's right.
The owners are on strike.
That's right. But the only way you could, the only thing that qualifies as an obscene amount of money in that circumstance is $7 or $10 billion. Getting a few $100,000 or even $1 million to do it, or $2 million or $5 million is not an obscene amount of money when you're a billionaire. It just isn't. As a matter of fact, Richard Branson, Jeff Bezos, all these guys turn down those kind of offers from startups and stuff all the time. If that was the case, Trump could get on Cameo and go, offer $5 million just to endorse companies, at some point, and we'll see how long that lasts. But that's the idea of what this effectively was. This was a cameo, but he couldn't get away with just a 90-second video. He had to show up and yammer. And Junior brought him this project, just like he brought him these crap like rental property things, and they'll slap our name on it, and we don't even have to do anything. We get a royalty from the property. We're not responsible. It's another real estate company that builds it. It's another company that handles the renters. All we are is a branding thing in it, and we make $100,000 a month from this particular thing as long as they keep it on the building. And that's how they made most of their money. They went from an architectural and development company to a branding company all through the 90s. That's Trump's legacy, taking his father's empire of building actual buildings and turning it into a rubber stamp that they would just, like stickers. They were putting their stickers on stuff. And that's what they do now. And that's all he did with this fight. And the problem is the product they're putting it on is getting lower and lower and lower and weaker and more pitiful. That's why he's not going to run for president.
Right. And to the point of... Right, exactly. Well, that's what he is. He's falling into irrelevancy.
Know? And he cannot run for president because he won't be able to take the money from the super PAC. The minute he announces that he's running for president, he can no longer take money from the super PAC, and the super PAC is paying his bills right now, and will pay his bills until it dies. Right.
Hal, can you fill my brain and your listeners' brains, or what's your opinion about Apple caving and Google caving to Russia?
Yeah, I'm against.
One last thing I'll say about France. I'll say about France. France is looking at if they pull. I don't understand France. If you look at the history of France, they've pulled away everywhere in the world. They used to have influence in Indochina with Vietnam, Laos, and actually they had a port in Taiwan, if you know your history, and they're gone. So I don't understand why are they surrendering to China again? I don't get it.
Well, they didn't. I'll tell you what. Okay, so the anti-colonialism rhetoric that you hear in the United States against colonists and the concept of colonizing, and your colonizers and the Brits are colonizers and the French were colonizers and the Spanish were colonizers and the Brits were colonizers, and they colonized the colonies. And they were always colonizing, and that's all they do. And everywhere we live has been a colonized place on colonized people. That conversation, while there are legit conversations about the indigenous people and their rights in territories and countries, is about stuff that happened hundreds upon hundreds of years ago, especially when you talk about France and England. And most of the like fomenting that idea and driving it into a political movement has been pushed up, has been inflated by the Chinese and the Russians who want to move into that place. And what they realized after a while, that driving UK and France and the US out of places was a nearly impossible task. But politically getting the people in those countries to call for that drawback and to be against it in the first place is a way easier. It's way cheaper. It's a way easier, it plays on the internal democratic finaglings of these countries, the back and forth, the battles between sides. It foments discord, while it also paints these countries, in a way that will make them retract. In ways, by the way, that they do in many cases, as ironically the right calls about Afghanistan, but in areas where they've done it too quickly or they didn't manage it or help manage it, they just left in a big hurry, said, sorry, we were here, and left. And then what happened is they created a power vacuum that China could move into. And the Belt and Road Initiative is really the soft power angle that the Chinese have been pushing for a long time around the Belt Road Initiative is getting countries like France to move out of Africa and stop their influence in the region to stabilize democracies in the area so that they can move in and take over, to create an instant power vacuum. Because they believe in that power vacuum, they will be able to take it. They will just flat out own the area. And that's precisely what they've been trying to do. The failure of that is a different conversation. But this is giant geopolitical moves on all fronts. And just because you get out of someplace doesn't mean that the people there will flourish because they have the right or the ability to do so. In the same way that if the U.S. decided we're surrounding Taiwan, we shouldn't surround Taiwan. Taiwan can stand on their own. That it would mean that the Chinese wouldn't try to stomp all over Taiwan in our absence. We help them in their existence and protect that and allow them to flourish in that way. We're not in there in the same way that we were in other countries, but we're not leaving the way we did in other countries as well. The Chinese are pushing that all over the world, and it worked way more. It was more effective on France and Germany than it was, say, on the UK or Northern European countries and the US. And a lot of the languaging around, the colonizing language you hear being spoken in social media and the like, a lot of that, while there are legit conversations about colonial endeavors and imperialism, a lot of the big boost that it got in social media and around that is from places like the Confucius Institute that have shown up on U.S. campuses, which are basically Chinese propaganda arms. And they're built for that reason. From the government, not the people. The kids themselves are being forced into these organizations. A lot of Chinese students who come over to the United States want to experience America while they're here. And organizations on campus like that keep them from doing it. They basically keep them in line. They're ways of policing Chinese students abroad, and it's not unique to China. The Russians used to do it too, and try to do it, but fail now. They don't really have a way of doing it these days. If a Russian student manages to get an immigration visa and they come here and go to school, they usually stay a lot of times. So whereas China, they insist on you coming back, or in a lot of ways, the way you owe that to the country. You got to come back. It's tough. And this is something, these are things that are being played out. This is the boring geopolitical, ginormous issues that the Trump administration ignored or were ham-handed in their countering of, that is now getting a real look right now, which is we've moved from Call of Duty to Risk, and that's a good move. We'll see you next week. Thanks, everybody. Don't forget to like and subscribe, thumbs up or thumbs down. That helps us too. Thanks, trolls.
Does that mean we only had 4 trolls?
Because we only got 4 thumbs down? No. There's a lot of them in there. They're just a lot
of guys. See you next week.
Thanks. Absolutely. They just know that they've all learned. A lot of the trolls that get in here. Thanks. PHK was reminding me of the hard break, and there's a delay on when it's coming up. I was chasing towards that end beat. God. I have a bunch of friends in China who, we did the show with and stuff that I, talk with on occasion via VPN to just check on them, because just to see how their families are doing with COVID, spikes over there. Daryl, thanks for the super chat. He says, Rand thought when Hal becomes mayor, he needs to rename the Department of Parks and Recreation to, wait for it, Hal's Parks. Yes, I agree.
Oh, nice.
They're all Hal's Parks, right? In all honesty, like in talking to those folks, it's heartbreaking. And while I was over there shooting the show, I was so excited when we first started doing the show and we were filming, and then we would go back and we'd go back. And each time I went back, we were being more and more corralled as to where we could and couldn't go, where we could and couldn't talk about. And they were definitely doing it in a way that they thought we wouldn't notice. Like they'd set up,
really?
Yeah, they'd set up a situation, like we'd schedule something, like we were going to go to this place and look at something like a recycling plant or some of their stuff. But it was clear that the last time we went to one, I was like, yeah, this is a demo. This doesn't actually, We went to this one place. Okay, it was supposed to be an apartment block where everybody's garbage goes down 2 chutes, and the garbage goes in a special thing, and everybody's really good about putting them in the right ones. And then there's a chute that takes your recycling in these special containers to this plant, and it's instantly recycled basically on site. And that there's a water treatment plant and all this kind of stuff. And it was supposed to be like city of the future. They were building this thing. I'll post some pictures and video that I have that I took personally from it. And
why did you take it so personally?
And I went around, and walking around where we were filming, we were talking to the guy in the office and what the plan was and how it all worked and stuff. And I was looking over the banister because it looked very industrial. It looked like, oh my God, these pipes are going in. It looked it was a good show. But I while we were shooting and they were moving the camera, I went through a little door I probably wasn't supposed to go through and went down and looked in the bottom, and it was all dirty and nobody had set foot in the place in forever. And
was that Truman Show?
Yes, it was Truman Show. All the tanks were empty. They were all fake. One of the tanks was just a concrete like cylinder painted green to look like a tank with a fake like paper mache nozzle on the top of it or something to make it rounded. And I was like, each place we went to, it got more and more obvious that that's what we were being driven to see. Hey, Joe, we'll drive you out and you can see this. You'll like this. It was all props. It was all, as they're saying. And
that's so weird.
Do I do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? No, I don't. I have friends who do. My buddy Matt Heafy from Trivium is a big fan. He's great at it. I don't like fighting styles based on anything that lasts more than 30 seconds. So that's just personal. Kung Fu Sansu's my art that's closest to what Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu would have, and it has holds and all that kind of stuff too. But everywhere I went over there, I was like, this is smoke and mirrors. And then, like I said, we go to Chongqing, to this big Blade Runner Ghost in the Shell looking city, and it's fucking empty. It's empty. There's nobody there. My hubby has a Heafy guitar. I do too. I have one of them. Yeah, it's so weird. And he was saying, Johnny, somebody was asking, finish what you're saying about the trolls. Oh, that we have regular trolls in here, all the time, but we encourage them because the algorithm doesn't care. The algorithm the algorithm on YouTube and on Facebook even more so, which is funny because that's where most of the trolls go. The algorithm on Facebook does not care if the rally's over. Kind of. Could Bruce Lee have beaten me up? Indeed, he could have. Although it depends on what year, I suppose. If he'd lived to be really old, I might have had a shot. Maybe. Although dudes who were hard when they were young, like that, tend to just get more leathery over time. Our Grandmaster of Sansu, Bill Lassiter, was a Golden Gloves boxer in the Navy and all that kind of stuff. Older dude, looks kind of like curly hair, kind of like Tom Jones. Kind of that kind of dude, that age range or whatever. We were doing a demo with and I volunteered, which think twice. If you ever get a chance. And he was showing a technique, and he ended up with me in a headlock with just his head, my neck like this, whatever. And I started, his arm was so solid and the grip was so tight, I started to black out in seconds, like in a second and a half, like tunnel vision to nothing. And that usually takes a second or so, but it was the technique that he used was meant.
He just knew where to squeeze.
Well, and also it was meant to make your adrenaline push up, disorient you, and you take a big grasp of air and then do it, and then you never get that air to your brain. It goes into your body, but not your brain, and then you're out. And it's amazing. And I was like, it was great. So, and he was old, really old. I think he was in his during that demo, he was in his late 70s, I think. And he was and just hard as a coffin nail, right? And a sweetheart, though. One of the most lovely people you'll ever meet. Because he talks like this, you don't want to, this man comes up, he wants to, it's not that he wants to hurt you. That's something maybe you can work out by talking. But if he hurts you and you're not there, who's going to protect your family? Maybe you're there with your child, maybe your elderly grandmother. Something happens to you, what happens to them? So you got to be able to take care of men like this, so they're not doing some damage to someone that you love, and you don't mean any ill will to this person. You're just stopping them from hurting you so they can't hurt everybody else, Maybe you're that last line, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's okay. And you don't mean this man harm. You don't want to take this any further than you have to. Just this real sweet guy, and then, he put you out it's like he just would flick your switch, and you're just like, gadoosh,
Yeah.
What a great, just a sweet dude. Anyways, so the troll thing on Twitter and on Facebook and on YouTube is such that the algorithm now does not care about anything but engagement. If people just go thumbs down, thumbs down, thumbs down, that means they're watching the ads because they're watching the whole thing. If the viewer engagement and they're watching, then you're seeing the ads. Don't care.
On the page.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They do not care. Hey, anyone is better than Steven Seagal? Steven Seagal's just, he's overweight now and kind of a mess. But back in the day,
skills.
Yeah, he's legit. He has legit fighting skills. At one point, he just became an asshole. Because the problem is,
well, he probably always was.
Here's the definition of an asshole.
Right? He became an asshole on the podium.
Right? Yeah, an asshole with a microphone who's a dual Russian citizen who was involved in weird Russian Bitcoin shit. It's fucked up. It's not the way you want to go out.
That's not good.
No, but he. Here's how you know somebody's an asshole. He injures his stuntmen all the time with macho bullshit.
That's bad.
With macho bullshit. When he would do movies, he would injure. And we had a guy on Queer as Folk who was he had been a stunt guy and he had this big scar right here from where Seagal pushed his face through a window, and while they were in this fight scene, just automatically just threw him, into an actual glass window, shoved his face through a window, and it cut him. And he sued the production.
No, it wasn't part of the choreography.
No, it wasn't. He was supposed to do something else entirely. He just did it to be an asshole. And they sued the production, and I don't even think that movie got made because of that stuff. Happens all the time. Could Arnold Schwarzenegger really hurt anyone? Of course he could. He's gigantic. He's older now. He wouldn't. He's a nice guy. Oh, somebody went and watched JCVD, the Jean-Claude Van Damme movie, which I recommended. Have you watched it?
Oh, I forgot about that. The one that's
it's meta. It's him.
Kind of meta.
Yeah. It's so sweet. And his monologue, his fighting, his fighting's better now than it was when he was kind of at his height. He's sort of a pro kickboxer in some ways and a teacher.
Is he a karate guy?
Yeah.
Because he's got that sideways,
Yeah, he's got the full splits. But, and he went, he ebbed and flowed as a personality and that kind of stuff. But right now, the monologue that he gives in that, where he's sitting in the chair and he speaks directly to camera and the most meta moment in the whole thing, is a tearjerker, and it's beautiful.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Yes, and Sienna is saying, rip Norm Macdonald. We've talked about it over the week, but man.
Ugh.
Yes, he is from Belgium.
I didn't think that would hit me so hard.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that had been going on for a long time.
Yeah, and when it's a surprise, it was a surprise to me, and when it's a surprise like that, I can't remember who else was struggling for a long time, and then they passed.
Mm-hmm.
But, and then when everybody starts posting all the clips, you're like, oh my God, yes, that. Oh, what a good joke. Oh, what a good joke.
It's like when Mitch died, Mitch Hedberg. He never really got to have the body of work. He died young enough where he didn't have the body of work that Norm has had. But even Norm has had less than the body of work he should have in many ways.
Yeah, I agree.
But when Mitch died, it was like a missed opportunity. You know what I mean? The way you feel it about when a young person dies and they've still got a career ahead of them. I had the same feeling about Norm dying. in a lot of ways, which is strange because he's older and kind of a mess physically.
Yeah,
So
only 61.
Yeah.
Did you see the clips they've been sharing from his appearance on Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee?
No, I haven't watched that one. Yeah.
I'll send it to you. I don't want to mess up the joke. It's just such a good joke. He's so good.
Yeah.
And I've been like going down YouTube rabbit holes of him burying OJ on SNL.
Oh yeah.
Like even when his job was at risk.
Yeah.
He just.
Yeah. OJ and Michael Jackson, no quarter. Like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And more of a homosexual pedophile.
And Hillary Clinton, apparently, back in the day. He was largely, by the way, that was one of the negatives of his time on SNL, was he was one of the people that sort of building, the whole thing about, like, Hillary was weathering just brutal criticism, undeserved forever and ever and ever. And it built up to the point where she actually ran for office. She was carrying the weight of all this stuff in a way that other people don't have to. A lot of that was, from that, But again, most of it relatively harmless, sort of political stuff. Yeah, somebody said, Phil Hartman was devastating.
Yeah.
Oh my, still
and
is.
Van Halen, that was what Pamela just reminded me. That's what
yes.
That was a surprise.
Yeah. Well, he'd been fighting it for a while, and I know, because of Caleb in Nerd
But they're
Halen.
pretty quiet.
Yeah, but
They try
Caleb
to keep
knew.
it quiet.
Caleb from Nerd Halen, he's in that, in the forums around Eddie, and they all were aware of it. They were aware that it was it was close a few times. So yeah, there you go. Bill Hicks buff on steroids. I'm caught in the middle of now it's a cascade of people.
Yeah.
We miss. Have you seen Drew Lynch's stand up? Yeah, I think Drew's done stand up at Flappers with us. Yeah. If I'm thinking of the same person. Jim Croce died way too young.
Plane crash.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's a documentary about the crash that killed the guys in Leonard Skinner. And
oh, yeah.
We did a double neck download, Richard Hunter and I. Happy birthday, Richard. About, and I showed him, like, we were doing a little bit of show and tell on it, some albums, and he brought the tour planner, like the little written tour planner that each of the musicians on the Leonard Skinner tour had. The coordinator who died in the plane crash, he got it at auction. He found it, like, it was one of the few things that was recovered from the plane, and it literally has like notes in it up until the crash. So yes, John Candy.
That's how you know it's real.
Yeah, Karen Carpenter,
Yeah,
John Denver. John Denver was a family friend. Dude, my friend was on that plane. Holy smokes, Captain Turp. Very sorry. The 27 Club. There's a show in Las Vegas called 27 right now. That's all people in the 27 Club. People who died at 27.
Oh, really? It's like a review?
Yeah, and Victor, who's our bass player in Nerd Halen, is in that show.
Oh, neat.
Yeah.
Does that mean he has to play the Doors?
Yes, it does. Yeah.
Poor guy.
Why? Is it hard on the bass?
I'm not a fan of the Doors.
No, me neither. Yeah. But, they've got, it's impersonators. It's basically a new version of like the Legends style shows, which are great.
I don't know why that made me laugh. Of course, Freddie Prinze Jr.'s dad. That's one of his, what was it, Karina?
And yeah, Janis Joplin, Harry Chapin, Left Eye from TLC. John Denver went to your high school? That's amazing. John Denver gave me a Coca-Cola backstage when I was 6 years old. Other people have heard this before, but that was the first time I met a celebrity when I was a kid, was John Denver. Because my dad knew guys in his band, and they gave me, he was like, here you go, kid, or whatever. I'm like, God.
Like Cedric the Entertainer.
Prince, don't get me started. So,
yeah.
Chadwick Boseman. That was brutal. That was one where, like, wait, what?
Yeah, that was another big surprise.
Just heartbreaking. And yeah.
All right, I can't do this.
Yeah, we're not going to get down this hole of like Disney.
Yeah, no,
we're going to celebrate life. We're going to celebrate life.
I'm going to
Go not
I'm
be
gonna
miserable.
go hug my wife and pet my cat.
That's a good idea. That's great. I'm gonna go check on
right.
our poopy butted kitten. Who's
Yeah, that's a good kitten move. They love that poopy butts.
Oh, this one's rough.
Yeah, I bet. And they know that it's only because they're that cute that you will deal with that smell.
And he farts, and it's just like these are like Gary Busey ate nothing but raw tuna, and licked ashtrays for a month, and then farted into
Chip?
Yeah, poor Chip, and just like he'll come up, sit down, and be all cute, and lay his head on your arm, and then you'll hear. And you're like, you son of a bitch. You son of a bitch. And then
he won't be gross forever.
No, he won't. We're fixing it. He's getting way better, but ugh.
We're fixing it.
Ugh. All right. I'll let you go before we start talking about more dead people. You're awesome. Love you. Be safe.
All right. You're awesome. Love you.
Okay, bye. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye. There he goes, ladies and gentlemen. Johnny Million joining us for the last hour of the show today, hopping off of Twitch and leaving me alone. I think we're alone now. Cedric's hosting the Emmys tomorrow on CBS2. All right. Because he relaxed. Yeah, that's why. Chemical warfare at Hal's house. Yes, clearly. My dog had the farts yesterday real bad. Oh, gosh. We tried, we shuffled the food around, but the food he eats, and he needs to put on weight. He was underweight when we got him. So the food he'll eat that will put the weight on him also gives him gas. So there you go. Pumpkin for cats. No sugar or spices for... I see. Cat farts are wicked. They're brutal. This is my first real experience with them. I didn't hear the egg ashtray comment. I'm glad. Well, yeah, I'm glad you missed it as well. Cannot defart a cat. No, you cannot. Pooped sock piles. Yes, absolutely. We'll get. This would be
building up our nuclear stockpiles. Nuclear stockpiles.
Yeah. Fung P. By the way, the way you spell it here, I'll write it in the chat room for you guys. Which one is it? Are we at 2? Yeah. So let me go in here. The way you would spell it using Pinyin is, and I'll do it in I guess I can do it in Restream and I'll go across all of them. Is FENGPI. That's how you write fart in Chinese in Pinyin. Fung P. Please do a Chinese special. Yeah, and bring everybody up to date on my experience over there. I have to gather the footage because I just found it the other day, like some of the pictures and stuff that I took. Like I had one of those moments where my iPhone went, remember this day? And I was like, oh shit, I was in China that day. Look at all this stuff. Loving how this China stuff. I just don't know why people don't talk more. I mean, there's some people who, like Lao I-86 and Serpent ZA, they used to live in China and they were kind of like neo-pro-China expats living there. Serpent ZA is South African, I think, and has the exact same voice as the character, the actor who played the Hobbit in the original cartoon. Listen to both their voices, I'm not wrong. And then Lao I-86, they both have Chinese wives and kids, and they moved out of the country, and they're now living, ADV China, right? They used to ride, I started watching their stuff because they ride motorcycles around, and they talk about it while they're riding their motorcycles. It was really cool, and I ride a motorcycle, and that was cool. Bilbo Baggins, The Hobbit. Sorry to do that to you, Serpent ZA, but I'm mentioning it. Serpent ZA, or ZA to the Americans among us, and the guy and the Hobbit cartoon. Let's see if I can bring this up. Holy smokes, it would be funny. Wait 1 second. Let's see. I'll go. Oops. Oh, wrong one. Sorry. That's what his name is. Hold on. I typed it in the wrong field. Hold on. Serpent. Tell me if I'm wrong on this one. I gotta find something. I'll find a video of him. Okay, and then break that down. Move this around. I'm doing a little bit of video shuffle. Give me 1 second. And then there should be something. Hobbit cartoon. 77. Hold on. Bilbo Baggins. And then you got to find him, and then the thing. Oh, here he is. I'll grab this. Here's so this is hold on one second. Hold on. So this is Serpent ZA. Listen to him talk for a second.
For the people of China. But unfortunately, what we're seeing a growing power within the Communist Party of China. And the Communist Party of China is a threat to the entire world. I'm not fear-mongering here. I'm telling the truth.
Okay, so that's Serpent ZA, by the way. And this is The Hobbit from 1977.
Bless my soul. Hello, what's this? Nice souvenir to show the neighbors back home. If I ever get home.
There we go. Am I...
Communist Party of China is a threat to the very freedoms that you have.
I'm just saying it. Like it's identical. I'm just saying. Sorry, Serpent ZA. I don't mean to mess with you like that, but it's there you go. Yeah, it's a dead ringer. I love that movie, by the way. I grew up. That was the first book I ever read on my own all the way through. That wasn't like a little 5-page kids book. First novel that I ever read was The Hobbit. And I read it the year that came out in 1977. And I got a picture book version of it that had art from that. I still have it. The pages are falling out, but I still have it. But I read The Hobbit when I was 7 years old. So the whole book. And it's the same Tolkien novel. It's not a, graphic novel version of it. It just had pictures from the movie. And the movie didn't come out in Kentucky where I was. So I didn't see it later until my Aunt Susan had a video cassette copy of it in like 1980. And then I loved it because I was like, oh, that's where this is from. And a dead on voice.
Up until this point in life, or perhaps the very freedoms you've been seeking.
There you go. And then let's see if
Likes riddles? Do I like riddles? Well, yes, after a fashion.
Same, just saying. Nailed it. I watch those Hobbit cartoon movies on repeat. That's amazing. Yeah, I have several collections of Tolkien, many of them falling apart. Yeah. The voice, yes, Orson Bean. That's right. That was the original voice. He sounds exactly like Orson Bean in The Hobbit. Let's see. This is, if you guys, hold on, let me see this. Hold on. There's a lot of stuff out there on Chinese ghost cities and stuff to watch. Yes, Frank Ocean did do some of the voices. That's right. I read the Bobbsey Twins when you were 7. I see. Amazing your memory. Well, we you know what the key to memory is? Falling in love with it, whatever you're trying to remember. I forget stuff all the time. It's just stuff I don't give a crap about. I don't care. There's occasionally when we're watching Newsmax and I don't remember the name of the host on Newsmax because I don't give a shit. They're all the same. They're the same dude in a different suit. And it's I don't care. I don't know what their real morals are. I don't know what their real feelings are. I know who they work for and what they say. And maybe they're hired because they were already in line with Newsmax, which is more than likely the same way Fox does. But maybe, they just have mouth will travel. And either way, they're gross. So who cares? So occasionally I'll forget who they are. Like, which one? Are we watching Stankfield? Is this Salcedo? Is this, I don't know. And I don't care. Right. They're caricatures. So, but if I love something, I'll remember it, and that's it. Hands up if you can play VHS. So yeah. So anyways, hi chat room. It's nice to see you guys. This is we're kind of like boosting the show out. We haven't done a post show in quite a while, and I guess there was some, the rally as it stands. Let's see. I had that up. Let's see. Justice for Jan 6 rally. There we go. Let's see. Put this in there. Okay, so this is the Reuters thing. So let's check out, shall we? This is what Reuters put up about the gathering. And again, look, camera, cop. Camera. That's a camera hanging on that person's shoulder. These are just the cops gathering together, talking about who's going to be a problem, who's not. Yeah, huge turnout. Look at there are more trucks full of gravel than there were people. Look at, and by the way, how many people think this dude with the blue shirt who's taking pictures for his, website is like, these are the jackbooted cops that were there to wait for us. Our freedoms are being attacked. I'm going to get a picture of every cop that was there because I think they're really crisis actors. I don't even know where these folks... I think these guys are, Trinidadian ball cradlers. The trucks are other barriers. So they bring the concrete barriers and the fencing, and then they also bring the trucks and then park them to block roads and stuff. It's the new Capitol Police Chief. Yeah, it's just him glad handing around there. Good for him. As you do. Meet with the rank and file. DOJ releases new video from this is what comes up when you look for Jan 6, Justice for Jan 6 on YouTube, at least in my feed. And I even have it set for today. And this is it. This is all just preparations. Officers called in for rally to support. Yeah. Capitol Police confident. There's the fences going up. Live. Titan security. DC residents react to... What's it like having this crap in your neighborhood?
Continues with our Mike Valerio now. He's been talking with people who live and work in the Capitol Hill neighborhood about how they are getting ready for tomorrow's rally.
Well, what I'm doing is what I've put basically giant jugs of Mountain Dew in my yard with Rohypnol in them. Works like a charm. I tried a similar thing to keep the squirrels out of my bird feeder.
Mike, once again, their lives being disrupted because of this.
Yeah, Lorenzo, absolutely. And, I think you put it really well at the beginning.
Excuse me, they weren't disrupted. They're disrupted.
Show that the atmosphere right here is tense. There is this palpable apprehension about...
Yeah, I can see it behind you. Like, it's just overwhelming.
Could happen tomorrow.
This is a couple days. This is yesterday anyway, so... Yeah.
But so, just spending the last couple hours here, I really think that there are two areas of conversation. There's what people think about law enforcement, which frankly is incredibly high after 8 months of hearings about how to improve the law enforcement posture and make sure that January 6th at our Capitol never happens again. And then there's also the other bucket over here, which is what people think about the fence. And that area of conversation is much more varied. But as we show you what we have seen here over the past...
The fence is like masks. It's necessary until everybody stops acting like an asshole. The quicker these assholes retreat back into their holes, the sooner we don't need masks and fucking fences everywhere.
Hours behind the Supreme Court and behind the Capitol as, we walk
Is there a vendor at the protest selling ivermectin lace water? Yeah, there's you can get elephant ears or horse paste ices.
market. Of course, people here are saying their neighborhood militarized again. We have seen this movie before, but in this
dude, you live in the city where our federal government is created. There's going to be some guns occasionally. Sorry. Tell you what, I guarantee you won't have similar problems if you move to DGAF, Wyoming.
Soundbite montage that you're going to hear from three people. We first began with the question of whether people thought the Justice for J6 protesters should have had their permit granted in the first place. Take a listen.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, they've got a right to protest, and we have to accommodate that, whether we agree with it or not. That's a function of democracy.
Classic liberal interviewed on the street. However, I agree they should be able to do it, but I don't like them.
To do it safe.
By the way, let's see. YouTube's being strange, guys. I don't know why. I've just noticed that. It's not on my end. I do not have a downturn in quality. Okay, that's a little better, maybe? I don't know. It's being weird. It isn't because anything's changed on my end.
And we have to take mind of who's protesting and what they're capable of. Given past history, I think the fence is appropriate.
But I think after January 6th, they know what to expect a little bit more and are well prepared.
The fence just seems ridiculous. There's a rule of law. Get enough people, arrest them if they break it. If they don't break it, things should be fine.
Well, yeah, but the fence keeps the cops from having to be human shields. The fence seems ridiculous. It's driving down my real estate values. Okay, I love the music sting when they go to commercial with this dude, though. Classy. Uh-oh. Just in. Ted Cruz arrives. By the way, so because of the Haitian president being assassinated, Haitians have spent the last couple of weeks trying to make their way to the southern border of America through Mexico and Guatemala and other countries, and they finally arrived. And Biden's not going to be flying them back to Haiti, but some people have taken that as, they're letting us in and they're not going to expel us. No, you're getting expelled immediately. The only people who are getting through or getting any help at all are families. If you're an individual dude, you're screwed. And there's a whole country that you're in. If you're in Mexico, you have as much of a chance getting ahead there as you do here. Why the bum rush in that regard? Women and children first, I suppose. Yeah, he's under a bridge. Yeah, what a surprise. I look like a hologram? Thanks. That's very sweet.
Here in Del Rio, Texas, September 16th.
Where the audio is terrible. But the good thing about all the road noise and the crowd behind me is that you can't hear my annoying voice.
Underneath the bridge, behind me, 10,503 people.
That's weird. So you're a senator from Texas, are you, sir? Because there's not a similar line going into Arizona. What's wrong with Texas that they're fucking this up so bad?
This is a crisis that is unfolding. It's a man-made crisis.
I'm just saying, if you're gonna do this, I mean, you're obviously trying to print a campaign ad. You need better video, dude. This is not cutting it. You shouldn't have live streamed it. You should have filmed it and then posted it.
Just over a week ago, fewer than 1,000 people here under the bridge.
And just under a week ago, there were fewer than 1,000. Just under a month ago, the Haitian president was murdered and the country fell into chaos. And a lot of Haitians and then they were hit by a hurricane. And a lot of Haitians decided to escape, try to make it to America, and it's taken them this long to get here. But these are big boy problems.
Between 700 and 1,000. Then, September 8th, the Biden administration made a decision to cancel deportation flights back to Haiti.
Well, that's because you can't drop people off in the middle of a demilitarized zone effectively when there's nowhere to go. The idea of even flights getting in there that aren't aid flights is a problem.
The vast majority of these illegal immigrants crossing.
Yeah, well, not all of them, though. Obviously, a bunch of them are from Yemen. And, it must be hot out there in a suicide vest. You know what I mean?
They made that decision 8 days ago. 700 to 1,000 people who were here discovered they could stay.
They can't stay. This is how long it took them to get here.
Without their cell phones.
Hold on 1 second. Let me just do this real quick, if I may. Okay. Let me do this real quick. There's 11.26 million people in Haiti. Of those, there are currently somewhere between 8 and 10,000 who are trying to get into the United States, escaping a situation where, well, let's just look at the news in Haiti, shall we? Shall we just look at the... Oh, well, this didn't work. Hold on. If I understand. Oh. Well, that didn't last very long. Sorry, Ted. You went down there, you stood under the bridge, and by God, they're letting some of the families who want asylum in or who have relatives here in temporarily to see if they have an asylum claim, but all the dudes are getting sent back. Del Rio, Texas, the Biden administration plans the wide-scale expulsion of Haitian migrants from a small Texas border city by putting them on flights to Haiti starting Sunday. An official said Friday, representing a swift and dramatic response to thousands who suddenly crossed the border from Mexico and gathered under and around a bridge. Details are yet to be finalized, but will likely involve 5 to 8 flights a day. See, a problem arises, and then you handle it, and that's how governing works. You don't just, we need to close the border. Look at all the brown people. It's a caravan. Yikety yike.
Eight days later, 700 people became 10,500.
And 24 hours later, the flight started to get them sent home.
This is a disaster, and it is a man-made disaster.
Yes, the guys who killed the Haitian president started this disaster. And then it, of course, exacerbated the problems when they were hit by a hurricane and people lost their homes and were homeless and without water, power, and shit like that, and decided to make a run for it. And out of, what was it again? Sorry? Out of 11.26 million people, 8 to 10,000 of them decided maybe the United States is worth a shot. Do you think they're the only ones that left? By the way, a bunch of people get expelled immediately, or over the last few days have been expelled immediately. They weren't flying people to Haiti, but they were saying, no, you're obviously a grown man by yourself. You can't come in. Those we're taking in are mostly women and children or complete families. If you're by yourself, maybe you should be in Haiti helping your country rebuild. Maybe you could do some work there. Here's a number for an aid organization. Good luck. But out of 11.26 million people who just had their president assassinated and have been hit by a hurricane, 8 to 10,000 of them are trying to cross the border at one point and are being sent home.
It is the result of political decisions, and Joe Biden could end this tomorrow.
Well, they kind of did, I think. Well, I mean, he couldn't end it tomorrow. He could start flights and send people back, and they could coordinate with the people on the ground there and the interim government and the UN to make sure that people can arrive safely and get back home, and perhaps give them supplies so that they can make it through the next month or so, and then they can eventually, help their country normalize, for example, and with the help of UN troops and maybe some U.S. peacekeepers, although that depends, perhaps help with the gang war there and even that out. So it's murky. It's really hard. But perhaps they could help do that in their own country. And so you'd want it handled nicely. You don't want to just fly them back and park the plane, go, everybody out, and then fuck off, and then they all get shot on the runway or something awful. I mean, I wouldn't want that. You wouldn't want that. Ted would. Well, it's debatable. Ted wants to stand under a bridge and point at the camera. Could anyone look less tough? I'm dead serious. Could anyone look less tough?
By simply following the law and reinstating the deportation flights back.
Well, they did, and they were planning on it. And they were reacting to what actually happened there. But that's why you had to race down there and do it really quick. Oh, yes. I think that's true. I think Ted Cruz today gets our 5 eggs. I think that's the way it's got to be.
5 eggs.
Congratulations, Ted. You've got 5 eggs.
5 eggs.
That's right.
5 eggs.
Yeah.
5 eggs in a month.
That's right.
Eat 2 eggs a day.
Yes, and 2 eggs tomorrow and 1 on Friday, and then
5 eggs.
That's how many you have. Ted Cruz wins today's
5 eggs.
All right, good. That is the Trumpian way. Absolutely. A problem happens. Sensible people start working on a sensible solution. Watch for this in the news. See if you see this happening with some regularity. A genuine crisis or circumstance that is no one's particular fault, but is just, either a natural disaster or related to decisions made decades ago that's just coming home to roost and all these kind of, and that happens. And then sensible people get to work on a sensible solution to said problem, one that will help as many people as it can, hurt as few people as possible, and work out the actual methodology and tactics of doing such a thing. While the sensible people are working on a sensible plan, the people who don't give a shit but want to use it for political purposes run out in front of a camera and go, somebody should solve this. No one is trying to solve this. Someone should solve this. And then when the sensible people finally get around to putting the plan in action, after thinking shit through, the people can go, they're only doing something because I told them to. And Ted Cruz, meet the Justice Democrats. Justice Democrats, meet Ted Cruz. It's exactly what that is. There are people in the professional activist class across the spectrum. The libertarian Rand Paul types, the I don't know what version of, bus stop creepery republicanism that he has, and then the far left, burn it all down, it'll be fine, I promise crowd. They all do the same thing. Problem occurs. It's politically advantageous to come out and say somebody needs to fix it because it's obvious to everyone that somebody needs to work on a solution. And someone's working on the solution, pretend they're not working on a solution, and then when they come out with their solution, say, they only came up with a solution because I made them. Watch for it. Watch for it. Yeah. It's the illusion that their voice, this is me fighting for you, right? That's where that comes from.
This is say to the heroes, the men and women of Border Patrol, who are risking their lives trying to do a job that their political superiors won't let them.
All those people are standing behind fences they could obviously knock over. No one is stampeding. All these people are in line. They have backpacks, food, and documentation to make an argument that they should be allowed into the country. They're backed up. They're being processed. Customs and Border Patrol are not in danger from this crowd of people. The idea that everybody in there is some sort of an innocent angel is ridiculous, but the idea that Customs and Border Patrol are shaking in their boots right now because of this process, which is numerically overwhelming, but not an act of war, is absurd. It's embarrassing. We appreciate you guys for doing the paperwork that we pretend doesn't happen.
We appreciate your service. This is wrong. This is not humane. This is not compassionate.
As opposed to what? Putting people on a plane, dumping them in Haiti right after a hurricane and a presidential assassination in the middle of a gang war? What's your solution? Seriously, his solution is just round everybody up and send them back. Don't think about it. Don't do anything about it. Just fuck it. Send them back. I don't care where. Land the planes on the highways if there are any functioning in Haiti and just dump everybody out. Don't even land. Just slow the plane down and just push them out the back. That's humane. They're passing out food. They're aid workers and NGOs giving people water. This is a crush of people in a desperate situation. But the existence of this is not it does not point to some lack of humanity on the part of the Biden administration and the United States in general. These people are not U.S. citizens. These are people who want to get into the U.S. because they're trying to seek safety and a better life for themselves, and they believe they can find it in the United States. And I know that a bunch of Haitians at the border bum rushing to get in the United States kind of blows a hole in America's systemically racist and it's the worst place in the world for people of color. Because all of those people disagree. So that's why you're not hearing a lot about this particular thing on anywhere except the, oh my God, the brown people are coming networks. They're really flipping out about it. Ted is just he's basically a zit that thinks he's cancer. He just shows up at these things and bursts a little pus onto the scene and then, pats himself on the back. Thanks, Robert. Should any representative be charged with sedition if they voted to decertify Biden's election? No, because voting is not an act of treason. It's still part of democracy. They were still engaging in this thing, and they'll get voted down. They will face an election. The potential for somebody voting for decertification. Decertification is a process that nobody can actually put forward a vote that gets carried. They can't at this point anyways. Ask Al Gore. He's manufacturing outrage to gull the dupes per usual. Well, yeah, because you have to, this is all you got. Look at all the brown people that are coming. Yikes. Stampede. Now, he knows full well that 80% of them are being directly expelled. What's your name? Sorry, bye. Can you come over here? Just go down this way. Yeah, take a right. I'm back in Mexico. Exactly. Like that, 80% of the people there. And then they go back and they stand at the back of the line and try again, hoping that it was the agent that they got. Am I on Stuttering John today? I don't think so. I don't know that he's asked me to. I don't know. Is he online? He always asks me last minute anyways. So hold on one second. I'll check my mail to see if he's asked me. I don't see one. So I think I'm okay. Sometimes I forget. Most of the time it's like the last minute I have to jump on there and like, oh crap, hi, here I am. Let's go. All right, so he's on at noon. Okay, cool. You can give these people water, but not voters in line. Yeah. Let's see. No. Bye. Ted's not an America First politician at all. He's a zit who wants to be cancer. That's right. He's got delusions of grandeur. He knows he's a sickness. He just thinks he's important. He's worthy of a valid diagnosis. He's not. He's like, yeah, it's just a zit. You're fine. Just put this cream on it and go away. Yeah, it's Forbes. Forbes does a lot of these pro-Trump videos. Yeah, that video though, this one right here, hold on. That was circulating on right-wing media. Lotus Eaters, which is a British show, played it. Shapiro played it. A couple other people. So this was basically, there's an ecosystem of this. You post a clip like this, and then they bounce it around. Yeah, we remember that time when you forgot. Thanks. Even though there's state voter for Biden. Right. BLM for Trump 2024. Right. Even though there's state voter for Biden. Yes. Because there's no like permanent unanimity amongst the electorate. There doesn't have to be. So if they bring forward a vote and if they try to overturn it illegally, that would be sedition or treasonous or what have you. But if they just put a vote forward and it, have an up or down vote in there and try to decertify it still wouldn't do it, because even if they try to do it, it would violate their own constitution. It would violate the Constitution of the United States. That you don't get a do-over just because you lost. And so as much as they might try to do it, it's still part of the legal process. And the Supreme Court would ultimately go, no, we've already certified it. Try again next time. Bye. That's That's really like, and again, most of the stuff that a lot of these idiots are trying, while it comes from a treasonous heart, is, the reality is it doesn't really amount to a hill of beans as far as, its legal ramifications, and it won't do much. It really won't. It's the worst of TED Talks. The party that raises their organizations. Thanks to the, by the way, trolls for engaging today. Whenever you get in here, it boosts our algorithm. I appreciate it. Thanks very much. You're adorable and hilarious. I apologize if everyone laughs at you loudly. I mean, the laughter is unavoidable. I just don't want them to be too rude about it. We don't want to hurt your feelings. We know what violent snowflakes some of you can be. But if you mind your manners and don't, say any racial or misogynistic or anti-gay epithets, you can stick around because the engagement helps us. So just so you know. Yeah. I compliment the trolls too much and I'm not complimenting you enough. I apologize, Skjort. I appreciate you too. I always appreciate you guys, and we talk about it, and we always thank the chat for being here. So we just have to go out of our way to remind the trolls that every thumbs down helps. Every statement they write, every time they get in and start typing, the algorithm goes, my goodness, this fellow is engaging. People across the political spectrum can't wait to write things in his chat room. And then the ad rev goes up, and then the show expands, and then literally, we have added 5,000 subscribers in the last few weeks, and it's largely because of the amount of trolling we got a couple of times that spread us out into the algorithm and boosted the views. So there you go. Yeah, it's been expanding ever since. It's good. My algorithm hasn't boosted this much in a long time. It feels good. Yeah. Show me the trolls. Show me the trolls. Yeah. So, again, it's also very difficult for trolls these days because fewer and fewer people give a shit. Remember when trolls used to have an impact? Remember when somebody write something mean online and you go, ow, that's not nice. Remember that? Remember when that used to be a thing? Like 7 years ago? And now it's just kind of like, it's like ants at a picnic. You just kind of accept it as part of life or whatever, but you're not getting upset. You're like, oh, okay, let's just move our basket a little bit. That's good. Did you guys bring the spray? I did. But leave those ants because it lets the park know that we're popular. Yes. And for those of you that are accusing me of being a Marxist, I am a Sparksist, and we practice Sparksism here, and many of you know that. And I will be releasing a Sparksist manifesto very soon in a small paperback. I genuinely have started working on this. I'm hoping to have it done by Christmas because it just popped up like 2 weeks ago or a week ago. When was it? 10 days ago. And so I'm going to have, Sparksist manifesto that will, be sort of like a guide for how to act in the world politically, and it'll have an economic philosophy. It'll have all the stuff that you see in political, books about, economic policy and foreign policy and domestic policy. It's all going to have all those things in it. I'm going to have a chapter for each. Sparksism. It's going to be a real movement. I've decided. Why not? Yes, capital Sparksism. Absolutely, with a capital S. It's the Charmageddon Handbook. That's exactly right. Antifa, right. No, I actually like a functioning government. Obviously the Jan 6 people and Antifa are basically cut from the same cloth. And I don't mean people are anti-fascist. I mean the group Antifa. They basically believe in tearing it all down and rebuilding it in their image. Al's little red book. Yeah. It'll be blue, actually. I think this color is nice. It's good. It's going to have a little blue cookbook. Little blue. Yes. And of course, I will be selling Antifa. I will be selling limited edition versions of the manifesto in street format, meaning like rotten, stained paper held together with twine. It's gonna be good. I'm just gonna just repeat. So, all right. So, how I want to say this. When I was first diagnosed with cancer, Hal Sparks was so supportive, in and out of chat. It's a beautiful thing. Oh, thanks, moms. We love you. We're just glad you're here. We are. So big hug. Sparklecrats. We're gonna, like, everybody's got a name. Capital Spark says yes with a K, right? Sure. How will you move the capital of California to LA? I don't know that I would have that power within there. Hal Sparks featuring Jane Wayne. Bigfoot is apparently in the MAGA group. Yeah, well, that's true. He's seen as often as Trump's healthcare plan. Actually, that's not true. There are pictures of Bigfoot. There you go. Love you too, moms. Hal moved the capital from Sacramento to LA. I don't know that that's helpful. It would just drag more bureaucracy into the city. Sacramento's fine for the state capital. I mean, we got LA's got enough stuff to deal with on its own. It's got a big enough target on its back as one of the media capitals of the world. That would be my reasoning why you wouldn't do that. Yeah, trolls don't last long on Twitch. Although there's a thing like on Twitch right now, hate raids. You know how I do raids on other people's channels to like take our crowd over to them after the show's over. Like if John's on in 3 minutes, what I'll do is he's on Twitch. So as soon as he goes live, somebody let me know, and we'll raid him, and I'll leave then. And but on Twitch, there's apparently a thing called hate raids right now, and I literally watched a whole video on how to create a one button like way to like turn your chat into a subscribers only chat, kick certain people out, institute higher moderation levels and stuff with like one button that does 5 things. Because that's a real thing that people deal with all the time. Yeah, democratic Sparksism. Yep. There's only one form of Sparksism. Sorry. There will be only one. That's the Highlander philosophy of Sparksism. Thank you, Melissa. Oh, that's sweet. I'm getting kisses from an avocado, I think. That's what that is. Spark sighting things are afoot. It's true. Why are we still looking at Ted? That's a good question. I'm sorry. I apologize for that. That's my fault. I'll do that. Hold on one second. Where are we? Here we go. Jump this up. Here we go. And here, hold on. I'll perhaps is this to me? Let's see. Hold on. I have to click on here. I set up some buttons, but not every button. This will do. There you go. Hi. Now you don't have... Hold on. That's terrible. You have to look at Ted. You know what's funny about this? Here's the strange thing about this. Let it go, Ted, let it go. You're not wanted here anymore. Let it go, let it go. Your Cancun ass is sore. And here I stand. Is, because I have long hair, it doesn't know whether to make me the girl or the guy. If I look, let's see. There's the guy version. That's the guy. And then it goes to the girl. Like, it doesn't know which one I am. Because of the picture. I look adorable, though. I really do. Yeah, it doesn't know you like the girl better. Simmer down. Simmer. It does shrink my head. It's true. Neo-progressive Democrat. I don't know that I would be qualified. I don't think the progressives would call me a neo-progressive. And neoliberalism is an absurd concept anyways. I have to say, we should do, I think I'm going to do, I keep talking about doing special reports, but as I've grown and started doing the morning show, and as we've sort of steadied what the afternoon show is and contains, and we can figure it out, it gives me a little more room to be creative about other stuff I would do. And doing an occasional special report on something where it's like a deep dive is helpful, even if it's a live stream at a separate time, maybe a Saturday or Sunday afternoon kind of a thing. But talking about the overwhelming labeling of things is becoming a problem. Everybody needs their own personal definition of their definition of the definition. And it's not only affected politics with liberals and progressives and neoliberals and democratic socialism and socialists and anarcho-capitalist Marxists, blah, blah, blah. And then, right-wing neocons, and then, like the MAGA movement, and, everybody has to have their own little brand, right? And I mean, if you look at the conversation around gender right now, it devolves very quickly into that the words, the labels themselves have more value than the people. Very often. It's kind of strange. And any person who's in any of those groups who doesn't want the label or doesn't want to participate in the label is heretical. And anytime you're in a situation where heresy, hate pronouns and categories, I mean, the polite thing to do is if someone tells you you're getting their pronouns wrong is to use the pronouns that they would like you to use. That's the polite thing. But I'll tell you that pronouns are not personal. Pronouns are impersonal. They're about how people discuss you when you're not around. That's what they're for. I don't know his name. What's his name? What's her name? What's his name? What's their name? That's what they're for. If I knew that person, I would use who they are. I would directly do it. But there's been a lot of, because people refuse to do this because they were disrespecting you, that not using those things are a sign of disrespect, and therefore, if someone does it accidentally on purpose, it is a sign you are not worthy of respect. It sets you up for failure. Meanwhile, paper or plastic, exactly. But the labeling thing is, I think, an offshoot of branding. How branding became important, especially in social media. Once we started talking about branding as the primary focus of everything, like you got to line up all your stuff, and you got to have your catchphrase and all this stuff that only giant corporations used to really worry about. Now individuals online are worried about it. And then what are the broad strokes of your brand? Right? I corrected myself, Jane. Nothing wrong with screwing up a word as long as you recognize it. You know what I mean? If you say purple when you meant to say purpose, and then you go back and say, I meant to say that. But if you just let it roll,
nuclear stockpiles,
and then you pretend you didn't say nuclear stockpiles, that's when you've got a problem. But this whole thing about you as gender non-specific, so is I. By the way, you only use you when the person is present and you're talking directly to them. What if I'm not talking to you, but I'm talking about you and you're there, right? You wouldn't use you, you know how you feels about you and you, I'm talking to you, but you, that's why we have language. But again, there's a big problem in this country right now that branding has created this situation where it's basically everybody's boxed in by what their defined labels are. And if it's a externally imposed label based on what other people see of you, people get offended. But if it's an internally imposed label that other people don't recognize, you get offended. You're setting yourself up for failure, and it's not you. You're so much bigger than that. And branding, I've always had a problem with branding. I prefer having a legend. But there's mechanical stuff that they call branding, like having, graphics and shit like that, which is just normal business, just commercial endeavor, letting people know there's some consistency in what they're going to see. That's branding with a small b. Branding with a big B has now created these categories where people can't get out, and that they're they're like self-isolating inside their own personal brand. Yeah, it's logoing. That's another great way of looking at it, Thomas. And I think, yeah, I definitely prefer a legend. I would rather be a legend than have a good brand. That's why my career has legs. That's why, I could never, I guess I'm lucky in this. I can never be a has-been because even as much as I've done, I haven't gotten where I want to get yet. So there. But, which is something other people don't understand. But this is a whole side conversation. I would love to have this in a way that lets people know that they can feel safe about this discussion, because I believe your humanity is greater than any label or explanation that you might have or someone else might have for you. And any situation, any group any person that tells you that if someone else outside you does not address you the way you deserve to be addressed, you are losing respect and humanity. Instead of that person is just that person and that's that person's feelings. And my humanity and my self-respect override everything. Are bigger than any label anyone could put on me, even my own. Because even people's personal labels can be static. And so enforcing that, in the world also enforces it onto you. And using it as an alignment factor, meaning we as a group we are joined by this label, make sure that anybody who's not 100% in that label is kicked out of that label. And it's why you have racism and colorism, and why you have bifurcations in the LGBT and T communities right now, is because the reality is all humans are bigger than their labels. And no label will ever define you. And no person who ever refuses to call you by your proper pronouns or refuses to address you by what you say you are has any impact on who you are. None. And the minute you insert, non-binary algorithms are full of rage and attack hounds. Yeah, there's a bunch of that. But again, it's meant to be, because that you basically you open ground for attack when you do that. And the people who are against you will recognize that weakness in your argument and will flood the zone. A guy have said, "Fear not, Robert." I think it's crucial that more than people like, you must respect my label, my pronoun, my ideology, my vision of myself. We need a renewed focus on self-respect, because that's far more resilient than the expectation that everyone you meet will automatically understand or respect you. That'll never happen. I've never grown up with that. I don't know anybody who has personally. Sir Hal the Sensible. Oh, thank you, Candy. But I think arguing for these labels and arguing vehemently for these labels and screaming about these labels are effectively putting people in boxes that now they are stuck with for their definable life. And then when they try to break out of it, then they have to create a label around not having a particular label. Hence the broadness of the non-binary movement and the recognition that that some of the activists in the non-binary movement are anti-trans in their language and how they talk about stuff, because there's no there. So if you're transitioning from one side to the other, you're enforcing the binary and therefore you're evil. And it's gonna eat itself. It always will. It always will. If your first goal isn't self-love and self-respect and self-confidence, you will always be at the whim of the outside world. You always. And if you can only feel good about yourself when you're surrounded by people that make you feel good about yourself, you don't feel good about yourself. It's a mirage. Speaking of feeling good about yourself, I'm going to send you guys over to Stuttering John. I'm going to try. Anyways, is he on? Is he on at noon? I think, did somebody say he was up? We'll see. Because I would like to pass you off to him and do that. Is chapter 1 in the Sparks' Manifesto? Yes. Yes. It's better to have a legend than a brand. Doesn't matter where your heart is at if your head is up your ass. I identify as a self-made millionaire. Right. All those fantastical labels that you insist on other people agreeing with you on, in defiance of whatever they feel, is your insistence to police what they feel instead of having confidence in your ability to convince them to feel differently. As long as somebody has the same legal rights as everybody else, and you're not discriminating on against people in hiring and those kind of things, then you can have the conversation where you convert hearts and minds. But we are a country of laws, and the power of this country, as flawed as it is that we operate on those grounds. Then we can have a conversation about the worth of ideas. But if you can't have a conversation about the worth of ideas because you think it will affect the legal ramifications, the expression of those ideas, then have more confidence in yourself and the rule of law. He's not on today. Okay, well then I'll just head on my own way and start working on extra stuff because I have more buttons. Oh, thank you, Mark P. Appreciate it. No Stuttering John show. He canceled. Okay, good to know. Thank you so much. So the nerve of this guy. I'm surprised he didn't ask me to come on and fill in for his guest. Sorry, I have to sit on my wire again because it was falling off. And by the way, you are absolutely right. My hair does look fantastic today. It's yeah, freshly washed this morning. Tried a new technique to you know, and I think this is a solid one. You know, I'm putting a little more product in the sides, which get a little poofy, and that gives me, you know, kind of a flatter fall, a more Mark Slaughter, Ace Frehley look than the Gene Simmons accusations I get when I blow dry it, race to the show, and it's all puffy on the sides. I hear you. I hear you. Different Johnny from this AM. Yeah, John, Stuttering John is what they're talking about. No John today. Johnny Million only could do half the show this morning because he was in a race to raise, you know, he does marathons and he was raising money. And yeah, I'm not cutting my hair. I love when it's puffy. Thanks. Well, I've got, you know, different strokes for different folks. No, wash, rinse, repeat is not enough. Not by any stretch. Oh no. It's a man-made. I hadn't thought about Mark Slaughter in a hot minute. Well, am I wrong? No, I'm not. But I know that you got to fly to the angels. I don't know if the house is empty. I don't know how loud I can sing. Summer's winking, right? A little hair oil, it does help. When you what? Yeah, it looked marvelous. Thank you. You look marvelous. Thank you, darling. Who did all those marathons on YouTube? Famous comedian named Eddie Izzard. Yeah, long. It's got. That's right. Do I use gel? No, I don't. I use mousse in honor of Bobcat Goldthwait. There you go. My 2 cents. Johnny needs a new mic so we can hear him better. I agree. I think he needs that's a gift coming his way. Just saying. I think I got to get him one of these and just send him a kit. It's a good idea now. I think so. But that costs money, and that's what Super Chats are for. Thank you guys for all the support. As a matter of fact, I think that's a great addition today to the show. I think we'll use some of the Super Chats from today to get a microphone and maybe a ring light for Johnny Million so he can get his setup a little better. What's ad time? Ad time puts an ad on Twitch. People can do it by using channel points, and it helps raise money for the show by them asking for an ad. They just, boop, they can choose to have an ad appear. And it's awesome. I want an amulet. There you go. Flows. Identified as Flo once. Kiss my grits. Right. I can't afford the ovation here. Mother told Joan not to walk away. Okay. You keep my sanity. I'm trying. Oh, I see. Keeps your back warm when you poo. I see. That's what they meant. I love Slaughter. Mark. Yes, Mark is a nice guy. There's a tour group at the Capitol. Oh boy. Are they from the day? Are they from the, is Lex Luthor a part of the tour group? Thank you, Joy. All right. I'm not going to stay on all afternoon. Get the damn iPad. Agreed, moms. Thank you. We absolutely. Yes, thanks for using the ad time. I'm gonna let you guys go. I'm gonna head out right now because we stayed over, did a little post show, hanging out. That's a good thing. Chit chatting with, we don't get to do that as often as we used to. Mostly because a lot of times when I'm either working on tech problems or I'm under my desk. Hello. And looking for my
nuclear stockpiles
and my. And so I do have a little bit of behind the scenes work to do today. I've actually added a setup where indeed I have another audio source that I can go to for certain things if I need to. And I've been working on that for a little bit. I'm gonna 200 people at the gathering. Oh, that's so good. Do I like Neil Young's Like a Hurricane? We Dungaree Dogs NYC played that at Rockin' in the Free World. I did, 01 does a great version of Rockin' in the Free World. And I'm not as familiar with Like a Hurricane, but I will give it a listen, Robert. The latest with the DC rally, 200 people. Nobody cared. It was basically, it would have been more. It would have made more news if, let's see. It would have made more news if the guy who put it together had walked up to a microphone with a paper bag he had farted in and popped it. The Trump's army looks like losers. This is, and by the way, Trump's going to say, I told everybody not to go. That's why nobody showed. You just expect it. He'll say it in one of these interviews. Let's see. Brainerd was saying the rally is already a success because of the attention it got. The number of attendees doesn't matter. There's going to be so much media. It's not really a numbers game. It's a message game, according to him. And Juliet Kayam says an important alternative take. Brainerd can say this, but terror succeeds with numbers, not just attention. Recruitment, money, validation all come from being able to present a win. Trump's army look like losers to recruits, paper tigers to the curious. It's a good narrative. Yeah, nobody showed. It was a bust. Almost all press. Yeah, here you go. Let's get one last look at it on our way out the door. That's what I said. It's like there's so many people wanting to be like, I'm like a war correspondent. I'm gonna take my rig down and get some choice sweet video of everybody else's camera. That's a sweaty. It must be humid, I'm guessing. How many undercover FBI agents wearing MAGA hats? Yeah. Conservatives know this is a setup. When is Antifa set to arrive? The vaccine so effective, you need a booster. Do I have that right? What? Oh, this is just from, I see. They're just scrolling down on that part. Vaccine so effective, you need a booster, and so safe the FDA won't approve the booster. Do I have that right? No, you don't. Michael Knowles is a dunce. Mean tweets is greater than droning young kids to look tough. Wow. There's still Americans trapped in Afghanistan. No story is bigger than that, period, according to Heather Childers. No, there aren't. There are no Americans trapped in Afghanistan. There are some waiting to leave, and apparently they can only get clearance to go out with these Christian ministry groups that Glenn Beck has put together, who will only take them if they're Christians. I bet there are some non-Christian Americans that Glenn Beck's group has rejected and will not allow. When's the next Sexy Liberalism? It's in October. It's live. It's at the Barrymore. I'm absolutely stunned by what I'm witnessing right now. We are on a boat in the Rio Grande near Del Rio International Bridge, and we are watching a massive 100 migrants walk across the river from Mexico and stream into the U.S. illegally. No, you're not. You're by no means. They're stopping because they go into that bridge. They're not streaming into the country illegally. Oh, look at this. Wait a minute. Back up. Do you notice something?
Yes.
Where's that guy going? Where's he going? Where's this guy going?
Rio Grande.
Where's that going?
This is the Mexican side of the river, right?
In the guys that are walking back and forth? This is all the right-wing stuff. Huge win for Arizona Senate today. Maricopa settlement gives us all the data needed to complete the review of the routers and Splunk log to the most comprehensive election audit in history. We got everything we need and more. Maricopa goes home with its tail between its legs. Yeah, according to Karen Van. Huge win. Huge. Huge. We have all we need to put together a report that will come out months from now that won't amount to a hill of beans. Joe Biden is at the beach. These are did I just stumble on right wing? Is this the only people that follow? Libs of TikTok. I see. France is recalling its ambassador to the United States. As far as I know, this is the first time this happened in the country's histories. Yeah, over nuclear submarine sales. And of course, Tim Pool has something, and they've been going back and forth as if there is no border because there isn't one. You mean the people who are being told to turn around and go back have been rejected, and then they go back and they wait for a little while, and then they try to cross again? And we're seeing the same people cross multiple times? Power of collective action. Oh, that's adorable. There's no barrier there, but you can't get in the Capitol. Right. This was pretty amazing. Rex Chapman also posted this. They were stuck in floodwaters, and these Marines in their dress uniform that were traveling got out and helped get them out, get their car out. Very odd. And Lauren Boebert. Let's end on something from Lauren Boebert, shall we? We've hit bottom. Literally, we've hit bottom. Look at that. It won't scroll any further. If you wonder where the bottom of the internet is, it's Lauren Boebert. Is anyone asking the question as to why we have 14,000 plus Haitians living under a bridge at the U.S.-Mexico border? I didn't realize it went from 8 to 10 to 14 that quickly. We don't share a border with Haiti. Who is facilitating the transfer of these folks down to Del Rio? They geographically cannot walk. Can we just? We don't have to respond to this. This is very. I mean, this is just adorable on its own right. Is anyone asking the question? No one is asking the question. They either took planes to Mexico, Guatemala, or other countries, and then decided to, because they couldn't get, they weren't allowed to stay. They only got a limited visa, that they started walking or finding other transportation to the U.S. border. That's how it happened. They didn't swim. No one is levitating them. This is not David Copperfield. We don't share a border with Haiti. Shit. How are these Guatemalans getting here? We don't share a border with Guatemala. I met somebody the other day who's like Brazilian. They said they just got here. I was like, we don't share a border with Brazil. What is happening? Who is facilitating the transfer of these folks down to Del Rio? They geographically can't walk. You want to know the truth? You want to know the truth? Right-wing, Trump-supporting NGOs that are trying to foment discord in the United States are facilitating just like they did with the caravans to excuse the wall and the payments for border, the border payments that he wanted, are fomenting these things. They're passing it around. They're ginning this up on purpose. And then the Haitians, of course, that are arriving, the 8,000 of them that suddenly became 10,000 in Ted's mind and is now 14,000 plus in her mind. And they're living under a bridge. Why are they? I thought they were storming into the country. What do you mean living under a bridge? Didn't we just give them citizenship and tell them to vote and who to vote for? What kind of schedule are the Democratic Socialists on right now? What do you mean living under a bridge? Yeah, they rode the hurricane in. No, how Australia wants to build their own subs using our parts and tech, not just buy them and create jobs for Aussies. I agree, Miss Pam. Yes, they weren't buying them from France. They're building them themselves. It's our tech, and they're mad, and the French are mad about it. That is true. I said that earlier, and I was using shorthand language, but it's important clarification. Yeah. So, by the way, Lauren, just to answer your question, a lot of the money that you're giving to Donald Trump, at DonaldJTrump.com, is providing transportation for Haitians to reach the southern border so that they can create a crisis that will help him get elected. That's part of the plan. So just so you know. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. Oh, 666 likes. Hey, congratulations. Right as we get out of there. And that's normally when we would ask for $6.66 in super chats, but it's late in the show. So leave it at that. That would be awesome. And I will see you guys. I will see you guys on Monday. Have a wonderful weekend. Take care of yourself. I'm going to go keep working on bettering the show. That's what I'm going to do. All right. Take care. Bye.